Chapter 2294. It wasn't just the elemental race that knew about it. It also spread to every corner of the Storm Sea area and other races. After all, the fall of a near-ancient saint was too shocking. Fiend, who is Fiend? Killing near-ancient as an undying, this is unheard of. Too scary. Some saints were shocked after hearing the news and couldn't accept it for a long time. Ordinary immortals killing immortals was rare and needed to use all kinds of treasures. But now, an undying killing near-ancient was even more shocking. It was enough to shock all the races. Some people say that Fiend might be the new saint of the human race, the rare monster Xiaoping. Someone spread this news. Impossible. This Xiaoping just reached undying. He's probably in seclusion in the Taichu sacred land. How could he come to the mystic zones now? Some people felt that the possibility of this was not high. If it was another 1,000 years, perhaps Xiaoping would have such strength. However, Xiaoping was still too young. Killing near-ancient at the early stage of undying, was he trying to scare people to death? There had to be a limit to how monstrous he was. Indeed, many people suspect this too. So, some people think that this Fiend might be some unknown monster of the human race. Maybe he's been staying in another universe and only came to the mystic zones now. There were also people who made another guess. This was a common thing. Some monstrous undying saints usually stayed in other universes because they felt they didn't have enough mana, or they didn't want to leave their family, or they missed their homeland. But it didn't mean these saints weren't strong enough. Once they did, it would be earth-shattering. Such people appeared occasionally in the long history of the universe. Not only did they appear in the human race, but they also appeared in the demon race, the elemental race, the dragon race, and so on. Damn, why are there so many geniuses in the human race? I can't accept this. Can't help it. Among the peak races, humans occupy the largest territory in the universe and have the most numbers. Their training system is also very complete. Genius? So what if he's a genius? A dead genius is just a corpse. Now, this guy is dead for sure. He's already on the blacklist of all races. Once he's encountered, he'll be killed immediately. If you want to make a name for yourself in the Mystic Zone, you have to pay the price. Every sage who becomes famous in the Mystic Zones will be attacked and killed countless times. The human race's Dark North Sage was the same. If he can't survive, he will become a legend. If he can't, he will become cosmic dust. I hope they can all live a little longer. If I can kill this Fiend, I will become the next generation's legend. Many of the saints discussed among themselves. They all wanted to kill this Fiend. Another's hero was their enemy. This was an unchanging principle in history. Similar information quickly spread to the various races, and the name Fiend was known by countless saints. At the same time, many human sages also received the news on Storm Island, the base of the human clan. Interesting. Where did this Fiend come from? To be able to kill a near-ancient sage despite being only at the sempiternal realm. How did he do it? It's really unbelievable. I've seen that Cassio before. He's a famous, cowardly, near-ancient sage of the elemental race. He specializes in bullying people in the novice village. He never goes to those dangerous regions and only stays in this place. That's why he's always been safe and living well. No one could do anything to him. Who would have thought that he would kick a metal plate and get killed by our human clan sages? How can one not get his shoes wet if he often walks by the river? There will definitely be a time when this guy is unlucky. Good kill. I was bullied by that shameless Cassio previously. Just because he's a near-ancient sage, he purposely caused trouble for us undying sages. Many human sages were curious about this matter. Some of the undying sages were gnashing their teeth at Cassio. They had suffered at his hands countless times, and some of their comrades were even killed by him. Now that Cassio was finally killed by their human clan sages, it was simply a revenge for countless people. Previously, that Fiend didn't even send out a distress signal. That's why we didn't receive any news that they were being chased. It's obvious how confident Fiend is. Clearly, he believed that he could kill a near-ancient sage from the start. A near-ancient sage squinted his eyes and voiced out his conjecture. Awesome, he's indeed awesome. This means that Fiend's confidence is off the charts. He's actually so confident that he didn't even call for help. Does he really believe that he can kill a near ancient sage? Don't tell me he's done something like this before. Hearing these words, many human sages thought of this and became even more interested. Right, since that punk killed a near ancient sage, his battle must have been recorded by the universe virtual network. Can we view the recording and see how he did it? Some sages suggested. To gain points, one had to open the universe virtual network's recording function. If one didn't open it, then no one would be able to know whether or not one killed a strong enemy. However, the moment it was opened, the entire process of the battle would be recorded. No, I don't have enough authority to view it. A middle ancient sage also wanted to watch. However, very quickly his face turned black. He realized that his authority wasn't high enough to view the contents of the battle. What? Even middle ancient sages don't have the authority to view it. Just how high is this authority? The group of sages were stunned. After becoming a middle ancient sage, one would be considered one of the upper echelons of the human race. Such a person's authority was extremely high, and there weren't many things that could be restricted. Now they just wanted to view the battle of an undying saint, yet they didn't have the authority to do so. To view the contents, one has to be at least at the level of the human ancestor. That middle ancient sage was depressed. However, after seeing the authority level requirement, he was stunned. What? One has to be at the level of the human ancestor to view it. The requirement is too ridiculous. If that's the case, there aren't many in the entire human race that can view it. Is that Fiend's background that amazing? Only the human ancestor can view his information. Killing a near ancient sage as an undying, such talent is rare. Naturally, he would be protected. If the information of such a human genius were to be leaked and the foreign races found out, what would we do? That's right. Such information has to be kept secret. Who knows how many absolute geniuses of our human race have been assassinated by the foreign races? Without them, our human race would have even more high-level sages. Many of the human sages discussed. Although they were regretful that they couldn't view the contents of Fiend's battle, they understood the rules of the human race and didn't say anything. Chapter 2295. Holy Land of Taichu. The news that Xiaoping had killed a near-ancient saint also came. Xiaoyao, Ancestral Master, Vacant Ancestral Master, and Dark North Saint, who had been paying close attention to Xiaoping, all knew about it. Unbelievable. How'd he do it? Even though he was a late-stage immortal saint, it was extremely difficult for him to kill a near-ancient saint. Defeating and killing are two different things. Dark North Saint was astonished when he heard the news. He knew the gap between an immortal saint and a near-ancient saint. Back then, he was a famous human genius in the universe. However, back then, he could only defeat near-ancient saints at a higher level. It was impossible for him to kill them. Even though Xiaoping had many treasures, many of them required strength. Without the corresponding strength, he couldn't unleash the true power of the treasures. Dark North, he's indeed your disciple. He's indeed extraordinary. An immortal saint killed a near-ancient saint. This hasn't happened in many years. It seems like if everything goes well, your disciple will be on the same level as us. Xiaoyao Ancestral Master and Vacant Ancestral Master laughed. As human ancestral masters, they had the authority to watch Xiaoping's battle and knew every detail. Because of them, the video wasn't disseminated, it was controlled by someone. Ancestral Master, it's just a hope. Whether he can succeed or not depends on himself. Dark North Saint smiled faintly, but he didn't say it confidently. After all, he had to pay a great price to reach the invincible saint realm. In the universe, there had been countless monstrous geniuses from different races. However, there were only a few who could stand at the peak of the universe. Not only did it require talent, but it also required a certain degree of luck. Forget it. Let's ignore this little guy for now. Our plan to go to the Dark Forbidden Zone is ready. It's time to start, Xiaoyao Ancestral Master said in a deep voice, his expression turning serious. As an invincible saint, he only paid a little attention to a junior like Xiaoping since he had more important things to attend to. The Dark Forbidden Zone is an extremely dangerous place. If we're not careful, even an invincible saint will die. It's an absolute forbidden zone for life, and we must make sure nothing goes wrong this time. Ancestor Kong Kong said solemnly, if they, the great ancestors of the human clan, were to die, it would bring a great disaster to the human clan. The safety of the human clan depended on them, and they could not afford to lose. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't take risks unless it was absolutely necessary. Don't worry, we're fully prepared this time. We're only going to take a stroll around the outskirts, and we don't plan on going deeper. If we can find some treasures, we'll definitely be able to greatly increase the strength of our human race. Even if we face the calamity of the universe in the future, we will be able to deal with it easily, Dark North Saint said solemnly. In fact, many of the human race's most precious treasures were obtained from the Forbidden Darkness region, like the Universe Virtual Network or the Demons Subduing Tower, etc. These were all treasures that the human ancestors paid with their lives to obtain from the Darkness Zone. This also laid the foundations for the human race to grow stronger. However, that place was also extremely dangerous. Even if an invincible saint were to enter, his life would be in danger and he could die at any time. Therefore, every time they moved, they were extremely careful. Stormy Sea region, on the water drop. All of them. After escaping from the battlefield, the Water Drop Saint, Dark Flame Saint, and Gold Wind Saint were silent for a long time. Eventually, they couldn't help but speak, breaking the silence in the ship. All right, after staying silent for so long, you guys must be bored. What do you want to ask? Xiaoping smiled. What do you want to ask? We have a whole bunch of questions, as many as the stars in the sky. Yeah, just your strength alone is a bunch of questions. Undying killing near ancient, this is simply unheard of. This news will definitely shake the entire Stormy Sea region. To be honest, I'm also from the Taichu Sacred Land. I've seen countless monsters, but I've never seen someone like you. Compared to you, you're the true disciple of the Sacred Land. We're just country bumpkins. The Water Drop Saint, Dark Flame Saint, and Gold Wind Saint looked at Xiaoping as if they were looking at monster. Because even among the undying saints, this guy was definitely a monster. Don't underestimate yourself. To be honest, you guys still have some ability. It's only because you met me that you guys seem so insignificant. Actually, you guys can be more confident, Xiaoping said carelessly. Scram. Bullsh asterisk T. I said you're fat, but you're really panting. The Water Drop Saint, Dark Flame Saint, and Gold Wind Saint spat. They had been modest, but this guy really took advantage of them. His skin was really thick. All right, let's stop joking. After this battle, I'm afraid I'll have to move alone and leave this team, Xiaoping said in a deep voice. Don't worry, Fingdu. Even if you don't say it, we know about it. The Water Drop Saint nodded. With your strength, staying in our team, no, even staying in the Stormy Sea region would be underestimating you. You shouldn't be able to dominate this small Stormy Sea region. After witnessing Xiaoping's true strength, he knew that this team could not accommodate this great god. Yeah, Fengdu, you don't have to worry about anything. All good things must come to an end. Plus, you've killed a near ancient saint of the elemental race, so you've become a public target. Even if you stay, we won't be of much help if you encounter an enemy. We'll only be a burden. Dark Flame Saint said, plus, we've decided to join other teams after returning to Stormy Island. With the strength of rookies like us, it's too dangerous in the Stormy Sea region. Even without this matter, they had already planned to disband after returning to Stormy Island. But now, Xiaoping was just mentioning this matter in advance. In that case, I won't say much. I'll leave in a while. Xiaoping nodded. He wasn't that pretentious. You'll leave in a while? So soon? You're not going back to Stormy Island? Gold Wind Saint was surprised. Not for the time being. Anyway, there's nothing to do. Plus, I'm afraid that a bunch of people will come up to ask me questions. It'll be troublesome. Xiaoping waved his hand. Yes, Brother Fengdu. Take care. The Water Drop Saint, Dark Flame Saint, and Gold Wind Saint nodded. They understood what Xiaoping was thinking. All right, goodbye then. We'll meet again if fate allows it. Xiaoping immediately bid farewell to the Water Drop Saint and the others, left the Water Drop, and stood in the void. Then he took out his spaceship, Myriad Stars, and flew towards the depths of the void. Chapter 2296. Inside the multi-star, it was sailing in the stormy sea. Beep beep. At this time, the system's voice sounded, "Congratulations, host. This time, you have attracted a lot of hatred from the elementals. You have received a total of 50 hatred crystals. I hope you can continue to work hard." 50 hatred crystals? Hearing this, Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. This was a good harvest. Coupled with what he had obtained before, he now had a total of 1,050 hatred crystals on him, which was a huge fortune. However, this time, he not only obtained hatred crystals, but also a large number of points. At the same time, he also obtained a large number of treasures left behind by Cassio and the other elemental sages. Good treasures. Xiaoping happily counted the treasures he had obtained this time. First were the pills, such as the longevity pill. There were hundreds of thousands of them, which was quite astonishing. Secondly, there were some refining materials, which were all excavated by these elemental sages from the mystic area. If sold, they would be worth at least tens of millions of points. Then there were some magic treasures, including 13 low-grade sacred artifacts, 1 middle-grade sacred artifact, but no high-grade sacred artifact. They were not rich to that extent. It would be good enough for one of them to have a middle-grade sacred artifact. Unfortunately, Xiaoping was too powerful and did not give them a chance to use their sacred artifacts. He was killed in a few breaths. Huh? What is this? Then, Xiaoping discovered that these space rings stored a large number of mysterious stones. They were fist-sized and filled with rich origin energy, almost condensing into substance. This is a source stone. Seeing what Xiaoping took out, Corinne immediately exclaimed. What is a source stone? Xiaoping asked. This is a precious energy stone condensed from the origin energy of the universe. It is very suitable for sages to condense magic power and cultivate. Absorbing a source stone can increase the cultivation efficiency of a sage by dozens of times. The effect is similar to the longevity pill. Corinne explained. It is said that source stones are a specialty of the mystic area and one of the factors that attract countless sages to enter the mystic area. If you can get a large number of source stones, you can speed up the cultivation efficiency of a sage. The Green Ox also explained, at the same time, it is said that the depths of the source stones also contain a little bit of the power of the laws of the universe. If you get a large number of source stones, you can also take the opportunity to improve your perception of the laws of the universe. That's why every sage is extremely eager to obtain large amounts of origin stones. They are extremely beneficial to their cultivation and are also the hard currency of the mystic zones. That's right. It's precisely because origin stones are so precious that if an origin stone vein is discovered on every island, or even on every continent, a world-shaking battle will erupt, resulting in countless casualties. Corinne also said some of the information he knew. However, they don't seem to have many origin stones on them. Xiaoping took a closer look and realized that there were not many dawn stones left in the space rings left behind by the sages. There were only about 200 dawn stones in total. This is normal, Corinne said as if it was a matter of course. Every source stone is a consumable. Once a sage obtains a source stone, he will immediately swallow and refine it, taking it as his own and transforming it into his own strength. Basically, every sage won't have many source stones left on them, unless they're especially rich. Unfortunately, in a barren place like the Stormy Sea region, there shouldn't be many rich sages like that. It indicated that it was normal for there to be a scarcity of source stones. After all, once a saint obtained such a treasure, he would immediately swallow and refine it. He would not leave it for the next day. Forget it. This is just a small matter. Xiaoping nodded, indicating that he understood. He then ignored it and said, now the important thing is to find the next destination. The Stormy Sea region is still too small, and there aren't many treasures. Do you know where in the mystic area there are a lot of treasures that can enhance cultivation? He looked at Corinne. Dripped at this time, Corinne waved his big hand, and suddenly a 3D virtual projection appeared in midair, forming a starry sky map, which seemed to cover the lounge. This starry sky map was densely packed with light spots, all of which were scattered in various corners of the stormy sea region, including the human race's novice base, Storm Island, as well as the bases of the demon race, elemental race, and other races. Even some extremely dangerous places were marked. This is the mystic area map obtained from the All Saints Temple. Corinne said in a deep voice, "We are in the stormy sea region, where the strongest are estimated to be near ancient sages. The resources in this place are very barren, and those with a little ambition will not stay in this place. After leaving the stormy sea region, we could go to the slightly richer Thunder Sea region. It is said that thunder will fall in this sea region at all times, and terrible natural disasters will occur there. If an ordinary immortal sage is struck, he will lose half his life." Speaking until here, he paused and continued. In the center of the Thunder Sea region, there's a continent called the Thunder Continent. This continent is rich in resources, and there are many rare treasures. In order to compete for these treasures, the human race, elemental race, demon race, and other peak races have built their own cities on this continent and are constantly fighting with each other. In that place, immortal sages are just ordinary soldiers. Near ancient sages are the captains, and middle ancient sages are the real main force. It can be said that this place is very dangerous, and the number of immortal sages and near ancient sages who have fallen there is innumerable. Only by reaching the middle ancient realm can you be considered to have a little ability to protect your life. He indicated that the Thunder Sea region was a somewhat famous place in the mystic area. All the major races covet the resources of the Thunder Sea region and have deployed a large number of troops in this place. One can imagine how fierce the competition between the major races is in this place. Every 100 years, or even 1,000 years, there will be a race war, and some sages will die and turn into bones. Therefore, the sages who dare to enter the Thunder Sea region have great confidence in themselves. Moreover, this place is rich in resources and has enough ability to provide near ancient sages for cultivation. Countless sages who desire to advance further will come to this place. Not bad. This place is not bad. Hearing this, Xiaoping stroked his chin, very satisfied. If we fight in this place, we will definitely be able to obtain a lot of points, as well as precious treasures. Okay, let's go to the Thunder Sea region. Calculate how long it will take us to reach the Thunder Sea region. The Thunder Sea region is quite far from the Stormy Sea region. Even with the current myriad stars, I am afraid it will take 3 months of flight time. Corinne calculated the time needed for the voyage. 3 months it is. In any case, I don't have much right now, but I have a lot of time. Xiaoping nodded and gave an order to Corinne. Whoosh! The myriad stars slightly shook and immediately set off at full speed toward the Thunder Sea region. Loading the next chapter. Chapter 2297. At this moment, the stars were flying toward the Thunderbolt territory, while Xiaoping had returned to the Mountain River Pearl. All of a sudden, Xiaoping realized that the world tree in the depths of his sea of consciousness was shaking. At the same time, it had a desire to devour, which was transmitted to him. What? It wants to devour the corpses of sages. Sensing this thought, he realized that the world tree was very interested in devouring the corpses of the elemental sages, which seemed to be very beneficial to its growth. Originally, the world tree could only increase its power by devouring the corpses of abyssal demons, devils, and other dark creatures. However, after a period of evolution, the corpses of any sages were extremely attractive to it. Clearly, its ability to devour energy had further evolved. After all, the energy in each sage's body was like a sacred herb that contained a huge amount of vitality. Although dark creatures like the abyssal demons were better for the world tree and could be considered its main food, the corpses of other sages were also a good dessert. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Thinking of this, he did not hesitate and immediately took out the corpses of the elemental sages and placed them on the ground. Suddenly, the world tree shook, and thousands of roots extended from the depths of the void. In an instant, the corpses were riddled with holes, and countless roots penetrated every corner of the corpses. Whoosh! The corpses of the sages shriveled at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few breaths, the energy of the corpses of the sages was completely devoured by the world tree. In particular, not only was the energy in Cassio's body completely devoured, but even the fragments of the law of space in the depths of his body were also completely devoured. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He saw that after the world tree devoured the corpse of the ancient Saint Cassio, it seemed to have obtained endless benefits. Its trunk, branches, roots, and other parts had all grown tremendously, growing to a height of several thousand meters. At the same time, the massive spatial energy and fragments of the law of space were integrated into every corner of the world tree, as well as every cell. Vaguely, the world tree emitted a massive spatial aura, as if every leaf contained rich spatial energy. It had an aura of its own. Rumble, after an unknown amount of time, the energy devoured from Cassio's body and the fragments of the law of space rapidly converged, and a transparent flower actually grew on the leaves of the world tree. The transparent flower quickly grew until it became a transparent fruit. It looked crystal clear and gave off a dense spatial aura. It was as if there was a world within the fruit. Spatial fruit. Seeing this fruit, Xiaoping's body couldn't help but tremble and his eyes shined. He immediately obtained information about this fruit from the world tree. This was the mystical fruit that the world tree had formed after devouring the ancient Saint Cassio, the fruit of space. It was a strange fruit formed by devouring the law of space fragments within Cassio's body, spatial energy, and other things. It contained a huge amount of spatial energy and the law of space. If an ordinary person were to consume this fruit, they would have a high chance of comprehending the law of space. It would even transform their body, causing their body to slowly transform into a space body. Incredible. The world tree is truly incredible. Xiaoping was completely shocked by the ability of the world tree. The world tree was indeed the sacred tree of heaven and earth. It was a great life that stood above all other plants. It was truly amazing. If an ordinary saint wanted to comprehend the law of space, they would need a long period of accumulation and a spark of inspiration. Only then would they have a slight chance. However, the world tree plundered the law of space from the ancient saint's body and took all the spatial energy within the saint's body for its own. It completely refined it and condensed it into the fruit of space. In this way, there was no need to deliberately comprehend the law of space. As long as one consumed this fruit of space, they would naturally comprehend the various laws of the universe. It could only be said that it was a demonic tree among demonic trees. It was a terrifying life that grew by devouring and plundering the universe's resources, as well as the information of the various laws of the universe. If the world tree continued to grow, would it be able to kill and refine the ancient saints and condense them into strange fruits like the fruit of time? It could be said that if the world tree wanted to grow, it would have to kill countless people. Blood would flow like rivers, and the corpses of countless saints would be used to forge its growth. I wonder what it would feel like to eat this fruit. Thinking of this, Xiaoping plucked the fruit of space and immediately swallowed this transparent, crystal-like fruit. Rumble. The fruit of space melted as soon as it entered his mouth and rapidly turned into spatial liquid, fusing into Xiaoping's limbs, bones, and even every cell. At the same time, a large number of fragments of the law of space and a large amount of spatial energy surged in his body. At this moment, he also comprehended many mysteries of the law of space. The power of space even fused into the cells in Xiaoping's body, causing the cells in his body to crystallize and become spatialized. Every cell seemed to have turned into an independent, small spatial world. The magic power in his body was also increasing crazily. Indistinctly, his spiritual domain also seemed to have the tendency to crystallize and become spatialized. Once he completely comprehended the law of space, his spiritual domain would completely transform into a spatial domain. His strength would increase tenfold or more than 100-fold. Too little, The information of the law of space and the spatial energy contained in this fruit of space are still too little. After a while, Xiaoping completely refined the energy of this fruit of space. He felt that his strength and understanding of the law of space had greatly improved. Unfortunately, this fruit of space was condensed from the fragments of the law of space in Cassio's body. Cassio was only an early near-ancient sage, and his accumulation was not deep enough. The fragments of the law of space in his body were simply too little. Moreover, his accumulation was too deep, more than 10,000 times that of ordinary immortal sages. This made it countless times more difficult for him to comprehend the law of space. At the same time, he also needed to devour a large amount of spatial energy and comprehend more information of the law of space. If there were no shortcuts, it would be normal for him to be stuck at the immortal realm for hundreds of millions of years. Looks like this trip to the lightning territory is a must. If I can kill more near ancient sages and condense more fruit of space, my cultivation will improve by leaps and bounds, and I will quickly comprehend the law of space and condense a spatial avatar. Xiaoping clenched his fists. He felt that he had another reason to go to the lightning territory. Chapter 2298. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. The stars shuttled all the way from the stormy sea region to the thunder sea region. There were occasional battles along the way. Some sages of the alien races discovered the stars and immediately wanted to rob them. However, Xiaoping killed 10 immortal sages and scared off 3 near-ancient sages. As a result, the journey was smooth and no sages of the alien races dared to rob the stars anymore. During these 3 months, he did not rest on the spaceship. He continued to cultivate diligently, devouring all the origin stones and 500,000 longevity pills. Such a huge accumulation of resources also made the magic power in Xiaoping's body improve by leaps and bounds. His cultivation level rose to the peak of the immortal realm in an instant. His 9 purple mansions were filled with powerful magic power. Even the power of his divine sense had increased by a level. It could be said that Xiaoping had already touched the bottleneck of a near-ancient sage. Moreover, swallowing a spatial fruit had allowed his body to crystallize by 2%. If his body could crystallize to 100%, it would be the time when he would ascend to the near-ancient saint level. This made him even more eager to get more spatial fruits. Xiaoping, we're here. We've finally reached the Thunder Sea region. At that moment, Corinne's voice sounded. Following that, the star's virtual projection turned on. The entire spaceship turned illusory, revealing the situation outside. He had just left the stormy sea region and entered the Thunder Sea region. He immediately sensed that every corner of this void was filled with powerful lightning power. Bang, bang, bang. In the void far away, there seemed to be a huge patch of dark clouds that covered hundreds of millions of kilometers. The dark clouds were dense, and lightning would descend from time to time. Each purple lightning bolt was like a lightning dragon. It smashed into a star, immediately destroying it and shattering it into countless pieces of shattered rock. In this sea region, dark clouds would appear from time to time, lightning would descend from time to time, and spatial storms would appear from time to time. There was no pattern to these disasters, and they were extremely dangerous. If a sage wanted to cross this sea region with their physical body, they would probably face the risk of being struck by lightning. Sometimes, billions of lightning bolts would descend, and even near-ancient sages would be struck to death. As the stars flew past, even though it was extremely fast, it was struck by lightning several times. Fortunately, the stars had already been upgraded to a mid-grade sage artifact. Otherwise, it would definitely be heavily damaged. How far are we from the Thunder Continent? Xiaoping asked. About 3 more days. Corinne looked at the map and carefully calculated the distance. The Lightning Sea region is really huge. It's more than 10,000 times bigger than the Storm Sea region. Xiaoping was also amazed at the vastness of the Stormy Sea region. Along the way, the myriad stars also encountered many islands and land fragments. It was said that those were islands that surrounded the Thunder Continent, and they were scattered in the void like stars. Some of these islands were comparable to Stormy Island, and some were even larger than Stormy Island. They were at least hundreds of thousands of light years in diameter, and the area of such islands was boundless, with no end in sight. However, such a place could only be considered as a small island in the Thundersea region. He really didn't know how big the Thunder Continent was. Suddenly, Xiaoping's heart shook. He immediately sensed the shock waves of an intense battle occurring on a small island. The shock waves spread out for hundreds of millions of kilometers, causing the surrounding space to shatter. The entire island was shaking and rumbling. On that nameless island, there was a team of human clan sages and a team of demon clan sages engaged in a life-and-death battle. Among the human clan sages, there were two near-ancient sages, one in the early near-ancient stage and one in the middle near-ancient stage. In addition, there were 10 peak immortal sages. As for the demon clan sages, there were 3 near-ancient demon sages, one in the late near-ancient stage, 2 in the middle near-ancient stage, and 13 peak immortal demon sages. It could be said that the demon clan sages had an absolute advantage and were suppressing the human clan sages. The surrounding void had been sealed by the other party, and all the space had been set up with tyrannical restrictive arrays. It was simply sealing the sky and earth. I didn't expect to encounter such an intense battle just after entering the Thundersea region. Moreover, it's a battle between the human clan and the demon clan. Xiaoping could not help but feel that his luck was indeed good. However, this was not a matter of luck. Perhaps the battle within the Thundersea region was far more intense than that of the Stormy Sea region, and the sages were also more powerful. In the Stormy Sea region, there might not be a single near-ancient demon sage for thousands of years. However, after coming to the Stormy Sea region, even near-ancient demon sages were not rare and could be seen everywhere. One could imagine that the Thundersea region sages were much more powerful than the Stormy Sea region. They were not on the same level. At this moment, Xiaoping's universe virtual system immediately sent a series of messages. Calling for help, calling for help. I am Yunyang Sage. I am being attacked by 3 near-ancient demon sages from the Sky Wolf clan. I have been ambushed by the demon clan, and the situation is critical. Many immortal sages are already heavily injured. I hope that the Human Clan Alliance nearby will receive our distress signal and send reinforcements immediately. We can't hold on for too long. I hope that our allies can send reinforcements on account that we are all humans. Such a distress signal was quickly transmitted to Xiaoping's communication device. Such a distress signal was actually spread out in all directions with Yunyang Sage as the center. It was estimated that the Human Clan and the Human Clan Alliance within a radius of billions of light years would receive such a message. As the Human Clan had the universe virtual network, the distress signal was sent out even faster. It was almost instantaneous. If there were any Human Clan Alliance nearby, they would come forward to help. This was also the reason why the Human Clan had such a huge advantage in the Mystic Zones. Once a distress signal was sent, the human sages from all directions would gather. Their speed was many times faster than the other races. Unfortunately, Xiaoping looked at the virtual map. It showed the location of the Human Clan Alliance. Some of the stronger human sages were too far away from Yunyang Sage. They would not be able to rush over in a short period of time. Even if some of them could rush over, they would only be immortal sages. They would not be able to help at all and would only be sending themselves to their deaths. Therefore, even if Yunyang Sage kept calling for help, he would not be able to find any sages to help in a short period of time. Within a radius of millions of light years, he was probably the only one who had the strength to help. Interesting. This is the first battle in the Thundersea region. God is kind to me. If I can kill these demon sages, I will definitely be able to obtain a lot of points. At the same time, I can also devour the corpses of the 3 near-ancient demon sages and refine the space fruit. This will be extremely beneficial to my understanding of the space law. Xiaoping's eyes flashed coldly. He had already seen these demon sages as sitting ducks. Whoosh! At the thought of this, he did not hesitate and immediately flew out of the myriad stars towards Yunyang Sage and the others. Chapter 2299. Above the Nameless Island. The human race sages and the demon race sages collided in midair. Every time they collided, an earth-shattering sound would erupt, destroying the area within a radius of hundreds of kilometers. Along the way, the sound waves surged, almost raising the area within a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers to the ground. However, the human race sages were no match for them and retreated as they fought. Damn it, we've been tricked this time. Who was the one who said that there might be a source stone mine on this island? We didn't even see the source stone when we came to this place. Instead, we fell into the trap of the demon race sages and were ambushed by them. The human race sages gritted their teeth, their expressions extremely ugly. Originally, they had come to this place because they had received news that someone had found a small source stone mine on this island. It was priceless. Immediately, the sages were extremely excited because if they could take this small source stone mine for themselves, they would become rich overnight. They would not need to worry about cultivation resources for hundreds of millions of years. How could they resist such wealth? They immediately formed a team and headed to this island. However, they did not expect that this was fake news. The demon sages had deliberately released it to lure the human race sages out and kill them. They had fallen into the demon race's trap. It's useless to say all this now. It's all our fault for being greedy and falling into the other party's trap. I didn't expect to be ambushed by 3 near-ancient demon sages. We were caught off guard. By the way, have we sent out the distress signal? Are there any human reinforcements nearby? We can't hold on for much longer. If this continues, I'm afraid we will all be wiped out. We've already sent out, but there are no human reinforcements nearby. Even if there are, their strength is only at the sempiternal realm. They will only be sending themselves to their deaths if they come here. They won't be able to save us at all. Damn it, this nameless island was probably also deliberately chosen by the demon sages. They knew that there are no human forces nearby and that it is a remote place. Even if we ask for help, the human race sages will not be able to quickly send help. The sages gritted their teeth. They also knew that they were in trouble this time. The other party had deliberately set up a trap for them to fall into. How could they let them go so easily? Now that the void of hundreds of millions of kilometers had been sealed by the 3 near-ancient demon sages, they had no way to escape. If their team's 2 near-ancient saints were defeated, then that would be the time of their deaths. Haha, foolish humans, just surrender. We've deliberately set up this trap. How can we let you escape so easily? This time, you have nowhere to run. That's right. Surrendering is your only way out. If you surrender now, you can still be imprisoned in our demon clan's prison as prisoners. There's still a chance that you can be rescued in the future. Otherwise, you will die today. We have 3 near-ancient saints here. We have the absolute advantage in terms of strength. No matter how you struggle, you won't be able to escape from us. You won't stand a chance. The demonic saints let out a loud roar, and the sound waves surged, constantly persuading the human saints to surrender. They were full of charm. They were using psychological attacks to weaken the human saints' resistance. After all, even a rabbit would bite when it was anxious, let alone a sage. If these human race saints were forced into a desperate situation, they might self-destruct and perish together with them. This would also cause serious losses to them. However, if they could weaken the enemy's will with just a few words, they didn't need to weaken it too much. As long as there was a moment of hesitation, they would seize the opportunity and kill these human race saints. As for being imprisoned in the demon clan's prison, it was naturally possible. However, if they wanted to escape, these saints would probably not be able to do so for the rest of their lives. They would be imprisoned until they died. It was just like how the demonic saints were imprisoned in the demon subduing pagoda. In your dreams, you want us to surrender? Not in this lifetime. Damn demon clan. It's just death. Do you think you can scare us? Don't even think about it. Our human clan's reinforcements will arrive soon. When that time comes, none of you will be able to escape. If you know what's good for you, run now. Otherwise, you won't be able to run even if you want to. Our human clan's army is already on the way. They will arrive soon. You won't have a chance. These human race saints were all sly old foxes. How could they be fooled so easily? They all retorted sarcastically and persuaded the demonic saints to hurry up and run, lest they made a mistake. After all, if they fell into the hands of the demon clan, no human would have a good ending. Therefore, they would rather die than fall into the hands of the demon clan. You won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. Since you are so stubborn, don't blame us for being rude. Hearing this, the eyes of the three demonic saints flashed coldly. They knew that if they did not give these human race saints a fatal threat, these human race saints would not surrender. Moreover, the words of these saints had indeed hit the nail on the head. The most terrifying ability of the human clan was their omnipresent reinforcements. They could call for help at any time and would gang up on others. This gave many races a headache, and they did not dare to provoke them easily. If they beat up the young, the old would come. If they beat up one, a group would come. It was very annoying. Therefore, they had to end the battle quickly. Otherwise, they would not know what experts from the human clan would come to help them. At the thought of this, they felt that they had to use all their trump cards and kill these human race saints completely. Meanwhile, Yin-Yang Saint and the other human race saints looked grave. They could also sense the murderous intent coming from these demonic saints. They were just bragging earlier on. In reality, there were no reinforcements at all. However, the threat of these demonic saints was real. If these demonic saints went all out, many of them would probably die. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure descended from the void and instantly arrived at the center of the battlefield. This aura shocked the saints of both the human clan and the demon clan. Haha, we're saved. We're finally saved. Our human clan has reinforcements. I've already told you, demonic saints, that our human clan reinforcements will arrive soon. Let's see if you can survive this time. It's too late for you to run now. It's too late. Do you know that? Just wait for your death, you demonic saints. Seeing this figure arrive, Yin-Yang Saint and the others were excited. They felt that an expert had arrived. In fact, there did not need to be many experts. Just the appearance of a near ancient sage would be enough. This way, they would be on par with the strength of the demonic saints. Even if they could not defeat the other party, they would be able to delay them to a certain extent. This way, they could wait for more human clan reinforcements to arrive. It could be said that this was a stimulant that could change the situation of the battle. What? When the demonic saints saw this figure, they looked as if they had eaten shit. Their faces were extremely ugly. How is this possible? Didn't they say that there were no near ancient sages of the human clan in the vicinity? Could it be that there was an error in the information? What is going on? One demonic saint gritted his teeth. Chapter 2300. It would have been better if Xia Ping hadn't appeared. Once he did, everyone was stunned. Sway_Meng. F***CK. This is a scam. How can it be an undying saint? Yin-Yang Sage and the rest were dumbfounded as they looked at Xia Ping, who suddenly appeared. They could clearly sense that the aura from this figure was only at the sempiternal realm. Impossible. Could it be that this guy is hiding his cultivation? Could it be that he is not at the sempiternal realm, but near ancient realm? Some undying saints were unwilling to accept this fact. They felt that the other party might be a near ancient realm saint. Bullsh**T. I can't sense his aura. He has not comprehended the space law, nor has he formed a space domain. At most, he is a late sempiternal saint. It's over. It's really over. I thought we had reinforcements, but it's a trap. What's going on? It's just an undying saint. How can he have the guts to come help? Is he not afraid of death? What a waste of time. We are completely dead. Yin-Yang Sage and the rest were all pale. They thought that the saints who came to help would at least be near ancient saints. Only then would they have a chance of survival. Moreover, they had spread the information. If they had the guts and strength to come, they would naturally be near ancient saints. Otherwise, they would just be throwing their lives away. Yet, the one who came was only an undying saint. Wasn't this a trap? Why would someone with no strength come to die? They were on the verge of collapsing. They wanted to pry open this undying saint's brain and see what he was thinking. As for the beast saints, they were wild with joy. They laughed so hard their stomachs hurt. Haha, that really scared me. I thought a near ancient saint really came. I almost wanted to run away and give up on this battle plan. Isn't that so? 3 near ancient saints of the human race. There's no way to fight or kill them. Who would have thought that an undying saint would come? Does this kid not know the situation? This is the battlefield of near ancient saints. Even if 2 or 3 undying saints came, they would just be throwing their lives away as cannon fodder. That kid must be out of his mind. Otherwise, why would he come and throw his life away? You can't say that. This proves the bravery of a human race. They clearly know that they are here to die, but they still choose to help. This kind of unity is simply frightening. No wonder the human race could rise so quickly and become the top race. No matter what, it's just an undying. This time, our demon race will definitely win. This time, all the human race saints will die. The beast saints were incredibly excited. Seeing that the one who appeared was merely an undying, they felt that they had won for sure. The human race's reinforcements couldn't have arrived so quickly. Whoosh! At this moment, Xia Ping stepped out of the void and stood in the center of the battlefield, looking at the demon saints in the distance. The 3 saints in the lead were all from the Celestial Wolf race. The Celestial Wolf clan was the king clan of the demon clan. They had a powerful bloodline. It was said that they were born to rule over the wolf clan. Their strength and speed were more than 100 times stronger than ordinary wolves, and their physical recovery was also extremely terrifying. Just at the lightning tribulation realm, one could already possess a half-undying body. Moreover, all of the Celestial Wolf clan's power could be shared, condensing into one. Their minds were interlinked, and they were adept at group battles. Just like an army, they could easily suppress other races. Therefore, when the power of these immortal beast saints and near ancient beast saints condensed into one, the power they could unleash was more than several times more terrifying than an ordinary team of saints. Interesting. The Celestial Wolf clan is the royal clan of the demon clan. They are adept at group battles and are a famous army of the demon clan. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and recalled the information he obtained about the Celestial Wolf clan from the All Saints Palace. If the Wolf clan has a member of the Celestial Wolf clan's royal clan, the entire army's power will explosively increase by 10 times. They will also have special bloodline abilities such as assimilation, summoning, and regeneration. Such an expert is indeed qualified for me to take action. Now die. As soon as he finished speaking, with a thought, a huge amount of magic power surged in his body. He immediately activated the true solution of illusions. One thought, one world, as well as the mystique from the illusion race, limitless nightmare art. Boom! In an instant, with Xia Ping's body as the center, the area within a radius of 40 light years was immediately shrouded by tyrannical divine sense. It seemed to have formed an absolute illusory domain, eroding every piece of space-time and invading every corner. This was pure soul coercion, containing a terrifying power that could not be resisted. It was as if a world had descended in this void. The surrounding space-time was distorted, changing heaven and earth, and shaking the surroundings. What is this? Heavens! Yunyang Sage and the other human sages were all shocked. They felt an almost irresistible soul coercion, as if it was crushing down on them, trying to crush their souls. This was a soul power that far surpassed an immortal sage's. Even near ancient sages could not compare. It was as if at this moment, the space-time within a radius of billions of kilometers had stopped. The Celestial Wolf Beast Saints who bore the brunt of the attack were even more shocked, their eyes filled with fear. Bang! 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 One by one, the immortal Beast Saints fell from the sky, unable to withstand this illusion power. They all fainted and foamed at the mouth. None of them could withstand it. Even the human undying who bore the brunt of the attack felt drowsy, as if they had been instantly pulled into a boundless nightmare world. As for the 3 Celestial Wolf Beast Saints, they felt that the hundreds and thousands of layers of spatial barriers around them could not resist the soul undulations. It seemed to easily penetrate the spatial barriers and engulf their souls. In an instant, they also fell into an illusion world. The surrounding space seemed to have changed. Boundless grasslands, mountains, rivers, and towering mountains appeared beneath their feet. Damn, illusion, this is the power of illusion, an illusion domain. Don't fall asleep. Wake up immediately, or you'll die for sure. Kill him. Kill this human undying immediately. He's too dangerous." Just as they were about to completely fall into the illusory world, the three demon sages of the Sirius immediately felt a strong sense of crisis in their hearts. The bloodline deep in their bodies felt a stabbing pain, and their instincts as sages saved them. A powerful soul force was about to tear this illusory domain and break free from this domain world. They were extremely shocked, feeling an intense killing intent towards this human undying that suddenly appeared. It was just an undying being, yet this illusion technique domain actually affected even their near ancient beast saints, unable to resist it. Just how terrifying of an illusion technique was this? Chapter 23:01. It seems that this illusion domain is still not strong enough to subdue the ancient sages. It can barely affect the sages' actions. But even if it's just a little, it's enough. Sui Ming, Xiao, Shua, Sui Ming Calm. Xiaoping shook his head when he heard the roars of the three celestial wolf demon sages. They released their strength in an attempt to break through his illusion domain. He didn't think much of it. Although the three sages were filled with terrifying murderous intent and seemed to be extremely angry, their movements were a little slow under the suppression of his illusion domain. However, in a battle between sages, such a slight delay could be fatal. He couldn't let go of such a great opportunity. Golden Crow Claw of Hell. Xiaoping looked at the three sages indifferently and struck out with his claw. In an instant, the 9 billion golden crow of hell cells in his body vibrated, and the enormous golden crow of hell bloodline burst out. It seemed to have triggered an enormous ancient power from hell. Vaguely, a golden crow of hell appeared behind him and let out an earth-shattering roar. The roar seemed to have traversed the boundless space-time and came from the depths of hell, shaking the hearts of countless gods and devils. Suddenly, a dark golden claw stretched out from the void. It was extremely huge and spanned a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers. It was as if the sun was extremely small in front of this claw, like a soccer ball. All the sages felt extremely small when they saw this dark golden claw. It was as if they had returned to the time when they were still mortals. They felt the eternal aura and the legend from the mythological era. The dark golden claw merely slapped out once, and then retracted slightly. Dong! The three sages were still struggling and roaring, but they were caught by the dark golden claw. It was as easy and effortless as an eagle catching chicks. What is this? What kind of power is this? Let go of me. Let go of me now. In an instant, their enormous bodies were squeezed tightly. Then, they let out miserable shrieks and tried to struggle. However, it was to no avail. The gigantic claws continued to ruthlessly crush down on them. In the next moment, their bodies exploded like watermelons. Blood splattered everywhere. It was an extremely dazzling sight. Even the armor they were wearing was a low-quality sacred weapon that could resist the attacks of the peak of immortal realm experts. However, they were smashed and turned into a pile of scrap iron. All the restrictions and formations were destroyed. At the same time, the surrounding space shattered, as if it had been torn apart by a claw. Like glass, crackling sounds rang out, as if traces of a giant claw had appeared in the void. This was a terrifying power that could leave a mark in the void. Damn human, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Die. Die now. The three saints of the Celestial Wolf clan were even more enraged. They let out an earth-shattering roar as their shattered bodies turned into a huge amount of energy, seemingly wanting to gather together again. The ancient saints who possessed immortal bodies were not so easily killed. Even if they were smashed into pieces by the giant claw, they were still extremely tenacious with their immortal bodies. However, before their bodies could gather again, terrifying black roots surged out from the depths of the void in all directions with Xia Ping as the center, covering a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers. In an instant, these roots wrapped the bodies of the three ancient saints and produced a terrifying devouring power, like a pack of wolves devouring and tearing them apart. It was as if a giant beast had appeared, opening its mouth and choosing people to devour. In just a short moment, the flesh and blood of the three demon saints had been completely devoured. All of their flesh and soul energy had been completely devoured, leaving not a single drop behind. It was obvious that the three sacred beasts had perished. At this moment, all the roots left contentedly and returned to the depths of Xia Ping's sea of consciousness, as if the roots of the world tree had never appeared. At the same time, the flesh and blood energy, information of the law of space, soul energy, and so on from the three ancient saints were completely devoured by the world tree and taken for its own. Clatter. Immediately, the branches of the world tree swayed, and three transparent, crystal-like space fruits appeared. Moreover, each space fruit was larger than the one that had formed after devouring Cassio previously, and contained even more space law power. Obviously, the three celestial wolf race saints were much stronger than Cassio. Not bad, another three space fruits. This trip wasn't wasted. However, there's still some immortal beasts that haven't died. Let's get rid of them. Xia Ping clawed out again. Bang, bang, bang. In the next second, the dozen immortal demon sages who had fallen into a deep sleep and were unconscious did not know what had happened. A tyrannical force crushed over, and their bodies were instantly shattered into pieces. Even their souls were shattered. The corpses of the immortal beasts fell into his hands without a doubt. They were kept in a mountain river pearl space and became fertilizer for the world tree. Beep, beep. At this moment, he heard a voice from the universe virtual network. Killed 13 immortal beasts, obtained 650 million points. Killed 2 late ancient demon saints, obtained 600 million points. Killed 1 late ancient demon saint, obtained 500 million points. Obtained a total of 1.75 billion points. Oh my god, 1.75 billion points. I'm rich. I'm really rich this time. In addition to the points I obtained before, I have 2 billion points now. How many treasures and resources can I exchange with this? How much can the stars increase in strength? Corinne simply went crazy and was extremely excited. He felt that these billions of points were simply a windfall falling on his head, and he felt an unprecedented joy. Indeed, a man can't get rich without windfall, and a horse can't get fat without night grass. War is the fastest way to earn money. Killing one can earn hundreds of millions. Even a money-printing machine isn't this terrifying. Green Ox was excited too. He shouted in the mountain river pearl space. Previously, Xia Ping used all sorts of methods to earn points. However, he didn't need to now. He just had to sweep through everything. This wasn't some demon saint beast, but a treasure vault. Indeed, it's not difficult for me to kill late ancient demon saints now. Xia Ping ignored Corinne and Green Ox's excitement. He was very satisfied with his current strength. When fighting a demon saint, he first used the mental domain to suppress the opponent. The illusion domain would pull the opponent into the nightmare world. Ordinary immortal beasts couldn't resist it at all and would faint immediately. Even those with powerful soul power would be in a trance for a moment and slow down to a certain extent. If there was a delay, there would be a flaw. If he attacked again, the demon saint would die without a doubt. Unless the opponent was already an ancient demon saint who comprehended the laws of time and had a time domain, he naturally couldn't suppress the opponent's domain and soul power. Chapter 23:02. Oh my god, no way. Dead. 3 near ancient demonic sages died, just like that. Cloud Sun Sage and the other 2 near ancient demonic sages were dumbfounded. They could not believe what they were seeing. Just now, they were suppressed by the 3 near ancient demon sages and were in a dangerous situation. They were almost in a hopeless situation, so they naturally knew how terrifying the 3 near ancient demon sages were. They were definitely no match for them. However, the 3 near ancient demonic sages were as weak as babies facing this peak immortal sage. They were not a match for him at all. In just a few breaths, the 3 near ancient demonic sages were killed on the spot without being able to fight back. As for the other 13 immortal overlords, there was no need to mention them. They were like ants that were easily destroyed. Seeing this, they were all in awe of this immortal sage who had suddenly appeared. After all, If these near-ancient demonic sages were not a match for this person, then even if they all joined forces, they would not be a match for this sage who had suddenly appeared. He's too powerful. In such a short time, 3 near-ancient demonic sages and 13 immortal sages were killed just like that. Not even a single demonic sage could escape. What the hell is going on? I don't know what happened at all. What did this mysterious immortal sage do? Why couldn't these demonic sages fight back at all? I'm not sure. I only know that I almost lost consciousness for a moment just now. It's terrifying indeed. Just being swept by the shockwave had such an effect. It's hard to imagine what kind of attack the demonic sages would have suffered. Without a doubt, this is an illusion technique. It's a soul attack. This person must be a top-notch illusion master. I'm afraid this person is not just an immortal sage. He must have reached the peak immortal sage level. The reason why we couldn't tell is that he cultivated a technique to hide his aura. Many human sages discussed among themselves and looked at Xia Ping in shock. Previously, they were still in despair. Why did an immortal sage suddenly appear? Wasn't he here to die? They didn't expect his strength to be so terrifying. He killed the group of demonic sages with just a few punches and kicks and saved their lives. Then they rejoiced. Fortunately, they were only discussing it aside and did not say such things to his face. Otherwise, they might have angered the human race sage who had saved their lives. If that was the case, they probably wouldn't even be able to cry. Thank you, brother. Thank you for your help. I am the Star Jade Sage. I am Yin Yang Sage. Thank you, brother, for your timely help. You have saved our lives. If you need any help in the future, please let us know. At this moment, Cloud Sun Sage and Star Jade Sage stepped forward and greeted Xia Ping. They also saw that Xia Ping's body was enveloped by a layer of dense fog. It seemed like the energy was distorted and no power could penetrate through it. Xia Ping's figure and appearance were not exposed. However, they did not dare to say anything. It was the other party's freedom not to reveal their appearance and aura. There's no need to stand on ceremony. It's just a small matter. Since your danger has been resolved, I'll be taking my leave. Xia Ping did not want to reveal his identity. After all, he had just arrived at the Thunderbolt Sea region. Moreover, he was already very famous. If he revealed his identity when he had just arrived at the Thunderbolt Sea region, he would probably be targeted by the sages of many races. At that time, he would definitely be hunted down in the Thunderbolt Sea region and be monitored at all times. In particular, he had killed a near-ancient sage previously. Now, he had consecutively killed 3 near-ancient sages. No matter how one looked at it, this was a major event that could shock the universe. Therefore, he decided to hide his identity. You're leaving just like that? Upon hearing this, Cloud Sun Sage was stunned. Brother, why don't we find a place to have a meal and chat? That way, we can express our gratitude. He also wanted to build a relationship with this mysterious powerhouse and find out his name. There's no need. I don't want my identity to be revealed. Let's bid farewell here. Xia Ping waved his hand. His figure flashed and disappeared from the spot before Cloud Sun Sage and the others could persuade him to stay. Cloud Sun Sage was dumbfounded. He had not expected this mysterious powerhouse to leave so quickly. Even if he wanted to say something to persuade him to stay, it was already too late. Brother Yin Yang, don't try to persuade him. At that moment, the Star Jade Sage's eyes lit up. This powerhouse naturally has his reasons for wanting to hide his identity. We shouldn't say much either. He tried to dissuade Cloud Sun Sage. Yes, Brother Star Jade is right. Upon hearing this, Cloud Sun Sage calmed down and felt that what the Star Jade Sage had said was indeed correct. Although it was rare for sages to hide their identity, it was not impossible. For example, the other party might be carrying out a secret mission for the human tribe and had only occasionally passed by this place. When he saw a fellow human tribe member in trouble, he decided to lend a helping hand. However, this identity could not be revealed. Otherwise, it would definitely cause a huge disaster and be discovered by the other races. This kind of thing was not unheard of. For example, the other party might have an enemy in the Thunder Sea region. Or perhaps the other party simply did not want to make friends with other sages and felt that it would be troublesome to reveal his identity. In short, there were all kinds of possibilities. The other party was their savior. Since the other party was in trouble and did not want to reveal his identity, they naturally could not be so foolish. They had already advanced to the sage realm and had lived for a long time. All of them were experienced people and naturally knew the ways of the world. They would not act rashly like those hotheads. It's a pity that we can't make friends with such a powerhouse. Cloud's Sun Sage lamented. I wonder which near ancient sage or medial sage of our Thundersea region he is. He could not sense Xiaoping's strength and could only guess that the other party might be a near ancient sage or even a medial sage who had comprehended time laws. He might not be from our Thundersea region. He might be from another sea region in the Mystic Zone. The Star Jade Sage's eyes flickered, as if he was trying to guess Xiaoping's identity. Forget it. It's useless to think so much. Anyway, it's fortunate that this mysterious powerhouse passed by and saved our lives. Otherwise, all of us would have died at the hands of these demon sages. Cloud Sun Sage rejoiced. Isn't that right? We can't be so reckless next time. Humans die in pursuit of wealth, and birds die in pursuit of food. We can't be greedy. Star Jade Sage felt that he had learned a terrible lesson this time. Indeed, we can't be too greedy. However, the Skywolf clan has lost 3 near ancient sage and 13 immortal overlords. This is a great loss. The Demon Clan's forces in the Thundersea region have also been severely damaged. Let's see how they can be cocky now. As time passes, the Thundersea region will be occupied by us humans sooner or later. Cloud Sun Sage said excitedly. The Demon Clan had lost 3 near ancient sage and 13 immortal overlords. This was an unbearable loss that could not be made up for in a short period of time. There is no doubt that this battle had given the human forces a certain degree of upper hand in the Thundersea region. Sometimes wars were like this. The accumulation of advantages would eventually form an unstoppable trend. Please remember this book's original domain name. Mobile version website. Chapter 2303. At the same time, many human race sages who were rushing over to provide aid also received news that 3 near ancient demon sages and 13 immortal demon sages had died, and Yin Sage and the others have been rescued. What? One of the sages was dumbfounded. You're saying that Yin Sage and the others have been rescued, and that the 3 great demon sages have been killed? What kind of joke was this? Who exactly did this? Who had the strength to do this? Could it be that the saints of the Middle Ages took action? The problem is that the famous saints of the Middle Ages are not in the vicinity of the Thunder Seas. How are we going to send reinforcements? They simply could not believe this news. According to their estimations, by the time they arrived, Yin Sage and the others would already be dead. It was almost impossible to save them. The reason why they still rushed over was because they did their best and left the rest to fate. However, not long after they set off, they received news that they didn't need their support because all the demon saints had been killed and not a single one was left. It's true. Cloud Sun Sage and the others have already sent news that they have been rescued and are now returning to Thunder City. It is said that the one who killed those ancient demon sages was a human sage who happened to pass by. Some sages received the news. A saint who happened to pass by? What was his background? I'm not sure. It's said that the identity of the human race's sage is extremely mysterious, and he is unwilling to reveal his identity. But no matter what, to be able to kill 3 near ancient saints is no small matter. At the very least, he is at the peak of the near ancient saint realm. Sage Yin and the others are really lucky. I thought they had fallen into the demon clan's trap and were doomed this time. Who would have thought that they would encounter a human clan sage who was very powerful? They really didn't deserve to die. I wonder what human race saint is. Why is his identity so mysterious? If it was a sage from our Thundersea region, there would be no need to keep a secret. Maybe they're from another sea region. No matter what, it's a good thing. Now that the sages of our human race are not dead, but those demon sages are dead, this is a real force that can greatly damage the demon race. That's right. 3 near ancient sages and 13 immortal overlords have died. Even with the strength of the demon race, it's a huge loss. It's impossible to make up for it in a short period of time. The saints of the human race laughed out loud in excitement, thinking that this was a great achievement. After all, even for the demon race, which was a peak race, the ancient demon sages were considered experts, not to mention that 3 of them had died. This was a huge loss that they could not bear. Don't look down on this number. The problem was that the mystic zones were huge and there were many sea domains. These sea domains needed to be guarded by powerful demon overlords in order to guarantee the benefits of the demon race in the mystic zones. It could be said that the combat power of every demon saint was extremely important and indispensable. If a few of them died in a certain sea region, it would be impossible to transfer them from other sea regions. Unless one of their descendants could ascend to the demon saint realm, only then would they be able to replenish their combat power. The problem was that it was not easy to advance to demon sage, let alone ancient demon sage. Among the many immortal demon sages, there were probably not many who could comprehend spatial laws. In this way, the demon race's influence in the Thundersea region would gradually weaken, and their human race would be able to continuously gain the upper hand in the Thundersea region, gradually eroding the endless resources of the sea region. Not long after, the headquarters of the Fiend race in the Thundersea region was a city. The Fiend race's city was completely made of purple stones, so it was named Purple Demon City. At this moment, many demon sages had also received the news, and their expressions were extremely ugly. Damn it, how could this be? Didn't they say that this plan was foolproof? Why did the Sky Wolf race fail? An ancient demon sage roared in anger. After hearing the news, he almost fainted from anger. Originally, this was a rather important plan of the Fiend race. They could seize the opportunity to kill 2 ancient demon sages and many immortal sages. This would definitely be a heavy blow to the human race's strength in the Thundersea region. Who would have thought that such a foolproof plan would fail now? Now, not only did they fail to kill the human sages, but they also caused the death of 3 ancient demon sages and 13 immortal peak demon sages. This was a huge loss that could not be recovered. Yeah, how did it fail? In order to make this plan go smoothly, our Fiend race's strength in the Thundersea region was almost fully mobilized, and we blocked many ancient demon sages and ancient demon sages in advance. Our goal was to prevent the human race's rescue. Who would have thought that there would still be a loophole? What kind of joke is this? An ancient demon sage's expression was extremely ugly. For this plan, they had paid a huge price. Their goal was to severely injure the human race sages and gain an absolute advantage in the Thundersea region for the Fiend race. However, such a meticulous plan still had a loophole, which caused the Fiend race to suffer a huge setback. There's nothing we can do. The human race sages are too lucky. According to the intelligence, the human race sages that suddenly appeared are probably experts from other sea regions. A demon sage gritted his teeth and said, "What a coincidence. That fellow was coincidentally near the battlefield and received the distress signal from Cloud Sun Sage and the others. In the end, our demon sages were unlucky. How could this happen? Cloud Sun Sage and the others are so lucky that they encountered such a thing. Could it be that man proposes but God disposes? Who is it? Who is that human race expert that killed our demon sages? Capture him immediately and tear him into pieces." That human race sages didn't reveal their identity. Even the human race sages don't know who did it. Damn it, that dog that hides its head but shows its tail. Since he has the ability to kill our demon sages, he doesn't have the guts to reveal his identity? What kind of hero is that? He's just a coward. The demon sages were infuriated. At this moment, they hated that they couldn't capture the human race sages who ruined their plan and tear him into pieces. If it weren't for that fella, their Fiend race would have gained a huge advantage in the Thundersea region. They wouldn't have to suffer such a huge loss. We have no choice. 3 ancient demon sages and 13 peak immortal realm demon sages are dead. The loss is too great. If this continues, the entire Thundersea region will become the human race's territory. An ancient demon sage where a gloomy face and murderous aura filled his body. Now, we can only activate this plan ahead of time and eradicate the human race's forces in the Thunder Sea region. Lord, if we do that, we might start a war between the two races. This is not a small matter. Thinking of that plan, some ancient demon sages were frightened. Start a war? It's already a war. If we don't recover our losses, our Fiend race's forces in the Thunder Sea region will be wiped out by the human race sooner or later. It's either you or I. Don't talk nonsense. I've already reported this to the patriarchs. They also agree with my plan. We'll start executing it today. The ancient demon sage sneered. Yes. Hearing this, the demon sages nodded. Since the patriarchs had agreed, they could only carry out the plan. Please remember this book's domain name, mobile version. Chapter 2304. 3 days later, the myriad stars finally arrived at the Thunder Continent. The human race occupied a corner of the Thunder Continent and built a huge and vast city on this boundless continent. It was called the Thunder City. All the human race lived in the Thunder City, and many sages would also use the Thunder City as a place to rest. Occasionally, they would go out for adventures and fight with other races. However, after fighting for a period of time, they would return to the Thunder City to rest and cultivate. Over time, the Thunder City also became the largest gathering place of the human race in the Thunder Sea region. A large number of treasures were traded in the city, making the city extremely prosperous. What a huge human race city! Xiaoping piloted the myriad stars and arrived at the Thunder City. He looked from afar and was immediately shocked by the size of the city. It was simply like an unparalleled giant beast lying dormant in the Thunder Continent. At a glance, it was boundless, and he could not see the end of it. It was said that the diameter of the city reached 100 light years. In order to build this city, a lot of resources were spent. The entire city was surrounded by numerous restrictions and formations, and they were densely packed and layered upon one another. It was simply like the lair of a monster, and ordinary forces were utterly incapable of shaking it. Moreover, thousands of terrifying energy turrets were built around the city walls. They were distributed in every corner, and a volley was enough to tear apart a sage's body and destroy an area of hundreds of millions of kilometers. There was no doubt that this was a pure war fortress. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xiaoping was not the only one who arrived at the Thunder City. There were also many spaceships in the sky. They all arrived at the Thunder City one after another and went in and out of this place. They were very busy. An unfamiliar signal is coming. It's from the Thunder City. They want us to enter the port to accept information verification. At this time, Corinne received an inquiry message from the Thunder City on the spaceship. In fact, every spaceship that entered the Thunder City would undergo a strict inspection. After all, this was the nest of the human race in the Thunder Continent, and all dangers must be eliminated. It was impossible for any alien race to enter. All right, let's go. Xiaoping nodded. Soon, the myriad stars landed at a port in the Thunder City. This port was where many spaceships were parked. Many spaceships also entered the port to undergo inspection. Beep. When the asterisks entered the Thunder City's port, a laser scanned the inside and outside of the spaceship. After that, a mechanical voice rang out, "Scan successful. Human race spaceship confirmed. Identity of spaceship owner confirmed. Genetic information confirmed. You are a human saint. You are granted the authority to enter Thunder City." Whoosh! Xiaoping walked out of the cabin of the multitude stars and waved his hand to keep the multitude stars. He finally entered the human city in the Thunder Territory, Thunder City. So many sages. As soon as he entered the Thunder City, Xiaoping walked on the streets and immediately found many saints of the human clan and the saints of the human clan's vassal clans. Immortal sages and near-ancient sages could be seen everywhere on the streets. Even a middle ancient sage would occasionally appear. Clearly, Thunder City was much stronger than the sages of the Stormy Sea region. Other than the sages, he also noticed that there were many mortals in the Thunder City as well. In fact, most of the humans in the Thunder City were mortals who had yet to reach the sempiternal realm. Why are there so many mortals in Thunder City? Xiaoping was very curious. He noticed that the people walking on the streets, as well as the people working in various entertainment venues, restaurants, shopping malls, and so on, were basically all mortals who had yet to reach the sempiternal realm. It was normal for him to find it strange. After all, the mystic zones were a place where sages fought. Living beings who had yet to reach the immortal realm were like ants in this place. A slight shockwave from the battle would cause them to die and turn them into ashes. It's very normal. Corinne had previously inquired about a lot of information about Thunder City, so he immediately said, "Not only saints can come to the mystic area, some Thunder Retribution Realm powerhouses also come to the mystic area to adventure and look for opportunities to make a breakthrough. And these Lightning Tribulation Realm powerhouses are unable to break through in the mystic zones. Over time, they will settle down and live in this place. They will mate with each other, and naturally, many children will be born. Even some sages will mate with each other and give birth to a large number of children. Therefore, with the passage of time, many mortals appeared in Thunder City. And these mortals can't return to the common zones or go to other zones. They can only stay in the mystic zones. However, these mortals living in the mystic zones have a faster promotion speed compared to other zones. They also obtain more experience, and the probability of becoming an immortal sage is also higher compared to other zones. So that's how it is." Xiaoping nodded, indicating that he understood this point. Thunder City is the city of sages. A large number of treasures will be traded in this city. Countless treasures collected from the Thunder Sea region will appear in Thunder City. Corinne said in a deep voice, "Therefore, if you cultivate in this place, as long as you have enough money, you won't have to worry about the lack of cultivation resources. It is an excellent place for cultivation. We should first find a place to temporarily settle down. Indeed, we need to find a place first. It would be better to buy a house here. Only, I don't know what currency is used to trade here." Xiaoping said. Corinne said, "The hard currency here is the human army's points. Sometimes, points are even more scarce than universe coins. After all, with points, you can exchange them for all kinds of precious treasures in the human army system. Those are priceless things that can't be bought with money in the outside world. Previously, I checked the houses in Thunder City. Because Thunder City is huge, sages will have a special residential area. Luxurious villas are built inside, covering a vast area. Moreover, the price of the villas is not particularly expensive. A private villa can be bought for about 100,000 points. Indeed, it's not very expensive. Let's buy one." Xiaoping immediately made up his mind. He felt that he should stay in Thunder City for a long time, so having a private residence that was suitable for himself was a very good thing. "Okay, I have already bought it. Someone will come to pick us up soon." Corinne was very efficient. He immediately bought a villa in Thunder City on the Human Race's Universe virtual network. Whoosh! A few minutes later, an AI robot flew over and arrived at Xiaoping's side. "Welcome, sir. I am XBN, Butler Robot number 007. I'm specially at your service. The Hylon District Villa number 7 that you bought should be properly arranged. I don't know when you would like to move in. Can I lead the way?" The AI robot, Butler said. Its whole body was condensed from a silver liquid. It was a high-level liquid robot. Moreover, it seemed to have a very high degree of intelligence, second only to Corinne. "Okay, take me there." Xiaoping nodded. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After saying that, the butler robot immediately flew up and led the way, bringing Xiaoping to the Hylon District Villa number 7. Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version website. Chapter 2305. Thunder City, Hylon District, Villa number 7. Under the guidance of the robot butler, Xiaoping arrived at the villa very quickly. He immediately discovered that the villa occupied a large area, at least hundreds of acres. There were ponds, swimming pools, bridges, training grounds, and other facilities inside. It had almost everything that one needed. It was like a holiday villa. Even the entire villa was set up with a powerful restrictive formation. It seemed to be integrated with the entire Thunder City. If the restrictive formation of the villa was disturbed, it would be equivalent to alarming the entire Thunder City, which would cause a chain reaction. Even the saints of the Middle Ages would not dare to easily disturb such a power. "Sir, this villa number 7 is your private residence. Without your permission, no one can approach it. Otherwise, You have the right to kill the other party on the spot without any responsibility. The robot butler said, Not bad. Xiaoping entered Villa number 7 and was immediately very satisfied with the place. Most importantly, it was very safe. No matter what he did in the villa, he did not have to worry about being disturbed by others. The 100,000 points were well spent. Sir, I won't disturb your rest then. After saying this, the robot butler immediately left and did not stay in this place. With a beep, the control of the villa was immediately handed over to Xiaoping. He walked in and looked at the surroundings of the villa, feeling very satisfied. Then, he went to a hot spring in the villa and temporarily rested. At this moment, the entire villa's defense system was activated. Countless layers of restrictive formations enveloped it, and no power could penetrate the power of the restrictive formations to see the situation inside the villa. By the way, let's see what good things can be exchanged. Xiaoping lay comfortably in the hot spring. With a light tap, the All Saints Temple's exchange list appeared, and a large number of treasures appeared on it. He now had a total of 2 billion points. Even the saints of the Middle Ages might not have such a net worth. After all, there were very few existences like him who could easily kill saints of the near ancient times. With such points, he could exchange for a large number of treasures. Xiaoping. At this moment, Corinne jumped out. Exchange for the special, or from the mystical zones, earthly spirit mithril. It will be of great benefit to the stars. Oh, earthly spirit mithril? What's that? Xiaoping asked curiously. It is said that this is a unique, or from a strange, sea in the mystic zones. It has a great effect on weakening soul attacks. Many soul defense artifacts are made from earth spirit mithril. Corinne revealed the information he knew, his tone very excited. If the stars can be fused with the earthly soul mithril, it will definitely be promoted to a high-grade holy artifact. At the same time, it will have a powerful defense against soul attacks. At that time, it will be able to weaken at least 70% of the enemy's soul attacks. 70%. Hearing this, Xiaoping was immediately moved. In the Saint realm, the most terrifying attack was a soul attack. It could be said that the physical defenses of many Saint-class spaceships were strong enough that ordinary attacks would not be able to damage them. However, soul attacks were different. They were silent, traceless, and formless. They could easily penetrate the spaceship's defenses and directly attack the Saint class. Back then, the Astral Sage had perished in this manner. He had been blasted by the Soul Secret technique, which had penetrated the Astral Starship's defenses and instantly killed all the living beings on the Astral Starship, including the Astral Sage. If the stars had the ability to defend against soul attacks back then and could weaken the enemy's soul attacks by 70%, the Star Saints would definitely not have died just like that. The problem was that ores that could defend against soul attacks were simply too precious. Basically, they could only be found in the mystic zones. Every gram of earthly soul mithril was priceless and desired by countless saints. After all, this was a life-saving treasure. Who wouldn't want it? How many points do I need to exchange for this earthly spirit mithril? Xiaoping asked. 300 million. I need 300 million points to exchange for enough earth soul mithril to upgrade the stars. Corinne thought for a while and immediately said a number. 300 million points. That's ridiculous. Xiaoping took a deep breath. He knew how terrifying a number 300 million points was. Let alone an immortal sage. Even a near ancient sage wouldn't be able to take out such a number. After all, not all sages were as terrifying as him, able to easily kill sages of the same level or even kill those of higher level, thereby gaining a large number of points. Ordinary sages could only train, take risks, and find many treasures to exchange for points. Occasionally, they would have the opportunity to kill sages of the same level. Therefore, points were simply a rare item for many sages. It was difficult to take out 10 million points, let alone 300 million points. They wouldn't be able to even if they sold it. However, it was clear that the earthly spirit mithril was also worth the price. It could weaken the enemy's soul attacks by 70%. It was simply the best life-saving treasure. Let's exchange. Xiaoping wasn't stingy. Anyway, he had 2 2 billion points on him now. He didn't even know how to spend them. It was just 300 million points. He could still afford it. Okay. Corinne placed the order excitedly and chose to exchange for the item. Immediately, 300 million points disappeared from his account. Apart from strengthening the stars, I also need to strengthen the power of my life treasure, the Chaos Bell. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He looked at the exchange list of various treasures and thought about what he wanted to exchange for. Master! At that moment, the Green Ox said, the main materials of the Chaos Bell, Chaos Scarlet Iron, Sound Pattern Stone, and so on, have greatly enhanced the power of Master's life treasure. If you want to continue to improve the Chaos Bell, there are two kinds of ores that can be added, Soul Morning Iron and Desolate Copper. They will definitely be of great benefit to the Chaos Bell. Soul Morning Iron and Desolate Copper. Xiaoping clicked on it and immediately saw the information on the exchange list. Sure enough, it was an extremely precious universe level ore. It was priceless and not inferior to the earthly spirit mithril. It was said that this was a strange, or that was born from a certain dark sea in the mystic zones after hundreds of millions of years of bloodthirsty aura. Even if a sage approached it, they would be affected by this, or losing their souls and injuring their souls. It could be said that it would take a lot of effort just to excavate the Soul Morning Iron and Desolate Copper. That's right. If these two materials can be integrated into it, it can immediately condense the Soul Morning Light. The Green Ox said excitedly, when the Chaos Bell rings, it will stir up waves of Soul Morning Light. Wherever it goes, all sages will have their 7 souls and 6 spirits shattered. How many points do I need? Xiaoping asked. I need 600 million points. The Green Ox said. Xiaoping was speechless. It was another huge expenditure. Sure enough, this kind of universe level ore was very valuable. Even if a sage wanted to exchange for it, it would be extremely painful. Please remember this book's domain name. Chapter 2306. The next day, after Xiaoping exchanged for these treasures in the Saints' Hall, a spaceship immediately landed in front of the villa's entrance. Following that, a few intelligent robots emerged, carrying precious treasure chests. They did not say anything. After Xiaoping signed, the earthly soul mithril, soulless iron, and desolate copper were all transported to his villa. Although these were all extremely precious treasures, they were in Thunder City, the headquarters of the human race. At the same time, they were escorted by the human army, so no one dared to have any designs on these treasures. As a result, there was no danger during the process. It's starting. After receiving these precious materials, Xiaoping was in high spirits. He immediately began refining his natal treasure, the Bell of Chaos, and the spaceship Stars. He had nothing else to do in Thunder City for the time being, so it was a good time to refine treasures. It was rare for him to have the free time. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, another 3 months passed. At that moment, in a quiet room in the villa, I finally succeeded. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. After 3 months and countless efforts, he had finally completely fused the earthly soul mithril into Stars, successfully upgrading it to a high-grade saint artifact. At that moment, Stars turned into the main body of the constellation vine. Like a blade of grass, it easily fused into Xiaoping's palm and swayed gently. The blade of grass was silvery white in color. Its leaves, roots, and other parts were completely covered by the earthly soul mithril. It looked like a silver product, shining with silvery white light. At the same time, densely packed formations appeared around the blade of grass. It contained powerful defensive power, and anyone who saw it would know that it was no ordinary item. It's very powerful. It's even more powerful after upgrading to a high-grade saint artifact. Xiaoping could sense the power of the constellation vine. After fusing with the earthly soul mithril, ordinary soul attacks would find it very difficult to penetrate the earthly soul mithril's defense. Even though it was just a thin layer of silvery white on the surface, even the soul attacks of peak ancient saints would not be able to penetrate the earthly soul mithril at all. His divine senses tried to penetrate it, but they found great resistance. It was like passing through cowhide, and it was very difficult to penetrate the outer layer of the earthly soul mithril and reach the constellation vine. Moreover, the earthly soul mithril had the effect of blocking the power of the divine senses. Most probing divine senses would not feel anything when they enveloped the earthly soul mithril, as if they were smoke. It was as if he had become invisible. If the stars were to be completely activated, it would be completely silent. Ordinary sages would not be able to sense any movement from the stars. At the same time, the Earth Soul Mithril also greatly increased the constellation vine's penetrative power and attack power by at least tenfold. Numerous green vines shot out like streams of light, easily piercing through the void. They possessed the power to pierce through all matter, and even had the power to destroy souls. It could be said that the benefits that the Earth Soul Mithril brought to the Thousand Stars vine were simply too great. It was as if the Earth Soul Mithril had transformed into a completely different species, raising the Thousand Stars vine's strength by far, far too much. No wonder Earth Spirit's secret silver is so precious. Countless sages covet it. The benefits it brings to magic treasures are simply too great. Sensing the effects of Earth Spirit's secret silver, Xiaoping could not help but sigh. Haha, with the high-quality Saint Artifact stars, we can go anywhere we want even if the mystic zone is huge. Corinne was also very excited. He was extremely satisfied with the current stars. It could become invisible and hide from the detection of foreign sages. It could defend and be directly immune to ordinary soul attacks. Even powerful soul attacks could be weakened by 70%. It was simply a tank, a war fortress. At the same time, its attack power was also very strong. As a universe-level plant-type creature, the Thousand Stars vine was already terrifying enough. With the mithril power integrated into the Earth Soul Mithril, it could increase the Thousand Stars vine's strength by more than tenfold. With such a transportation tool, even if he could not defeat those powerful sages, he could easily escape. It was an absolute life-saving item that was priceless. If any sages knew about the existence of this spaceship, they would probably want to snatch it. At that moment, the green bull at the side sneered. Do you think it's only the stars that have been upgraded? Master's personal magic treasure, the Chaos Bell, has also been upgraded to a high-quality Saint Artifact. He could not bear to see Corinne being so smug. In fact, in the past 3 months, Xiaoping had not only been refining the stars, but he had also been refining his personal magic treasure, the Chaos Bell. He spent 600 million points to fuse the soul mourning iron and desolate copper into his personal magic treasure, the Chaos Bell. As expected, these two universe-level rare materials were extremely beneficial to the Chaos Bell. Their attributes were extremely compatible, and they were easily fused together. When the two materials completely fused with the soul mourning iron and desolate copper, there seemed to be a magical chemical effect. Countless restriction arrays surged into the Chaos Bell's body, forming a strange power of loss. At the same time, waves of gray light spread out and swept over, producing a terrifying sound wave. Without a doubt, this was the famous soul mourning light. With a slight shake, the grayish-white light spread out. Within a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers, countless living beings would lose their souls and become idiots. These two ores also increased the power of the Sound Stone to the extreme. The three materials complemented each other. It was not as simple as 1 + 1, but a geometric increase. Therefore, the Chaos Bell had also been upgraded to a high-quality Saint Artifact, and its power had increased by more than 10 times. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it was now the number 1 killing Saint Artifact among the high-quality Saint Artifacts. Moreover, the Chaos Bell's direct attack on the soul was enough to frighten countless sages. Once the Chaos Bell rang, countless sages would lose their souls and their organs would be shattered. Who could resist it? Xiaoping felt that his personal magic treasure, the Chaos Bell, was getting closer and closer to the legendary Khanate magic treasure. Perhaps one day, he would refine the Chaos Bell into such a supreme treasure. Not bad, not bad. With these two magic treasures, my combat strength will definitely be greatly increased. Xiaoping was increasingly satisfied. He felt that he had spent 2 billion points this time, but it had been worth it. If not for the human sacred hall's help, it would have been very difficult for him to find such rare treasures. Now that he had points, he could exchange for these treasures anywhere. It was really cool to have a big tree to lean on. Master! At that moment, a voice was transmitted into the depths of his sea of consciousness. Luna, what's the matter? Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. He sensed that Luna was speaking to him telepathically, and it was in the fiery hell. I found a new plane of hell. Luna replied. What? Hearing this, Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. Then, excitement surged in his heart. Please remember this book's domain name. Chapter 2307. To be honest, the Infernal Realm was Xiaoping's treasure trove. Putting aside the huge amount of resources in the Infernal Realm, just the demons, and other creatures alone could greatly enhance the golden crow of hell bloodline in his body if he could kill an immortal demon. At the same time, the World Tree also needed the corpses of these demons as nourishment to grow rapidly. Previously, he had conquered the fiery hell, and all the demons in this hell had become his subordinates. At this time, he could not deal with his own subordinates and kill his own people. But it was different to find a new infernal realm. This meant a large number of demons and resources. If he could start a war, he would definitely gain endless benefits. Moreover, he had awakened 9 billion golden crow of hell cells and was only 1 billion away from the next step. If he could kill some immortal demons, or even ancient demons, his cultivation base would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Thinking of this, Xiaoping did not hesitate. He immediately entered the space of the Pearl of Mountain and River. The Pearl of Mountain and River was left in the villa as a spatial coordinate point in the mystic zones. Then he used the special spatial channel in the Pearl of Mountain and River to return to the Yin Huang Star region, then to the Qingyang Secret Realm, and finally to the Infernal Hell. Luna, you've become immortal. When Xiaoping arrived at the Infernal Hell, he immediately saw Luna waiting for him. He immediately sensed that Luna's current aura was completely different from before. It was much stronger than before, and her body exuded an immortal aura. She had ascended to the immortal realm. A strong aura emanated from Luna's body, like the sun, illuminating the world. There was also an extremely dark energy lying dormant in the depths of her body, like an abyss unfathomable, and able to devour all the darkness in the world. Yes, Master, I have been conquering some infernal realms and devoured many demons. That's how I naturally became immortal. Luna nodded. Her expression was very indifferent, because this was a matter of course. If she had not been besieged and sealed by countless sages when she was just born in the primordial age, she would have long become a lawless and terrifying demon. It was only now that she had been subdued by Xiaoping and signed a contract that she restrained the ferocity in her body. What? Xiaoping raised an eyebrow. Judging from Luna's words, it seemed like this wasn't the first time a new hell plane had been discovered. Some had been discovered before, but this hell plane wasn't an ordinary plane, so she informed him. Could it be that you discovered some hell planes before? He could not help but ask. Yes. Luna said, previously, I learned a new bloodline ability, corpse bug doppelganger. A drop of blood can turn into billions of corpse bugs, so these corpse bugs spread out and explore the void. In the end, they found some planes of hell, about 3 of them. However, these hellish planes are too small, even smaller than the Infernal Inferno. Each hellish plane can only give birth to 3 immortal fiends. So, I destroyed them all and plundered their essence. I didn't inform Master for now. She said that during this period of time, she had already destroyed 3 hellish planes and killed 9 undying demons. Insect corpse doppelganger. Upon hearing this, Xiaoping immediately knew what kind of extraordinary bloodline god Art Luna had comprehended. If it was just an ordinary clone, it would simply not be worth mentioning. But this was a corpse beast doppelganger. Don't underestimate it just because it was a clone, but it had the terrifying characteristic of a corpse beast, undying. With such terrifying characteristics, even the Hell Monsoon, which could destroy and kill demons in the hellish world, could do nothing to it. Therefore, the trillions of corpse bug doppelgangers spread out in all directions with the infernal inferno as the center. In fact, as the hell monsoon blew, they scattered to every corner. As a result, some of the corpse bug doppelganger landed on different hellish planes. Using the special mental connection between the doppelganger and the infernal inferno, these corpse bug doppelganger became the spatial coordinates of the infernal inferno. At the same time, Luna could observe the situation of each hell plane through the corpse bug doppelganger. The 3 hell planes she destroyed before were also found in this way. I see. Xiaoping suddenly understood. Luna's bloodline god, art was simply the best way to explore. With the trillions of corpse bug doppelganger, she could easily explore every corner of hell. She didn't even have to sacrifice the lives of other demons. After all, other demons had to pay the price of their lives in order to travel through the hell monsoon. But the corpse bug doppelganger was different. The hell monsoon and all sorts of hellish disasters couldn't kill them. Although these corpse bug doppelganger were weak, they contained the property of undying and indestructible. They were simply too difficult to deal with. They were simply the best scouts in the world. Master, these are the origins of the 3 hell planes. Luna waved her hand, and 3 hell's origin essences appeared in her hand. They were the size of glass beads, much weaker than the infernal inferno. However, the hell's origin energy contained within them was incomparably pure and contained infinite mysteries. Deep within the hell's origin essences, there seemed to be a dense array of hell's characters that seemed to contain hell scriptures. She didn't devour the hell's origin essences, because they wouldn't be of much use to her. However, they would be a great benefit to Xiaoping. Moreover, if she could fuse them with the infernal inferno's origin essences, she could immediately strengthen the infernal inferno. Very good. Xiaoping reached out and took the 3 dark gold hell's origin essences, which were the size of glass beads. He could immediately sense that they contained rich and pure origin energy. Rumble, he made a grasping motion, and the 3 hell's origin essences fused into his body, where they were devoured by the infernal inferno's origin essences in his dantian. Immediately, an enormous amount of hell's power flowed into his limbs and bones like a tidal wave, and was quickly devoured by every single golden crow of hell cell in his body. The spiritual power within his body, as well as the spiritual power of his 9 violet kingdom dimensions, began to rise at a rate visible to the naked eye. Even the golden crow of hell cells within him began to awaken. 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, 400 million. One by one, the golden crow of hell cells began to awaken under the influence of the hell's origin essences. It was as if planets were exploding inside of him. With each awakened golden crow of hell cell, a large amount of dark gold energy flowed into Xiaoping's veins, causing his body to undergo earth-shaking changes. After who knew how much time had passed, Xiaoping finally finished devouring the 3 hell's origin essences. Shockingly, the number of golden crow of hell cells awakened inside of him had reached 10 billion. Please remember this book's original domain name. Chapter 2308. When a number of golden crow cells in Xiaoping's body reached 10 billion, it was a critical point. Suddenly, the bloodline in his body underwent an earth-shattering change. It was as if he had been reborn. With his body as the center, a terrifying aura spread out, instantly enveloping the entire burning hell. All the abyss devils, nether ghosts, demons, and other creatures could feel the aura Xiaoping exuded. At this moment, every corner of the burning hell was filled with the scorching aura of the golden crow. The terrifying heat enveloped every corner. Vaguely, Xiaoping seemed to have transformed into an eternal sun, radiating light in all directions. Any living creature in hell would be able to bask in his radiance. Lord, his lordship has returned. Heavens, what kind of light is this? It completely dispels the darkness of hell. Why? Why does this sunlight not have any destructive power? Why does my body feel so warm? All the abyss devils were bathed in the light of the golden crow. They could feel the light dispelling the endless darkness and even easily penetrating their hearts, dispelling the cold and darkness in the depths of their hearts. It was as if they had returned to the origin of hell. Wrapped in a warm power, they felt an unprecedented sense of peace, security, and happiness. Bang, bang, bang. The abyss devils prostrated themselves on the ground, seemingly worshipping the distant sun. They shed tears of gratitude, as if they were worshipping the great god they believed in. Some of the abyss devils closer to Xia Ping felt even more deeply. They even felt that their bodies were bathed in this sunlight, and their bloodline power and souls were constantly rising. Splash! After an unknown period of time, Xia Ping's blood had completely turned dark gold. Every drop of blood contained the power of the golden crow of hell. It seemed to be all-encompassing. Each drop of blood seemed to contain a character of hell. Countless drops of blood gathered together, and countless characters of hell rearranged themselves to form a supreme hell scripture. Immediately, endless inheritance information from the depths of his bloodline, this supreme hell scripture, seemed to surge into the depths of his sea of consciousness. Then this hell scripture spun in the depths of his sea of consciousness, shining with endless golden light. It was as if a god of the underworld was murmuring in the depths of his sea of consciousness, its mantra shaking the void and triggering the laws of the void. Finally, the hell's runes quickly condensed into a dark gold swastika symbol. He immediately knew that he had finally awakened a bloodline ability, Nether God Devil Curse. Nether God's Curse? Xia Ping's eyes flashed with a terrifying golden light. This bloodline god art wasn't an offensive god art or a defensive god art. It was a support or even a control god art. As long as he willed it, a drop of blood could be condensed into a hell talisman, which could then be transformed into an infernal god demonic curse, which could easily penetrate the souls of fiends and control their lives and loyalty. This was similar to the soul seal, a secret technique that could control souls. However, a soul seal could only control 9 slaves at most, while the Nether God's Curse could control countless demons and demons. There was no limit to the number. As long as one's soul strength was strong enough, they would be able to endure it. However, this also had its drawbacks. It could not control creatures with innately powerful souls or creatures with extremely firm wills. It could only control creatures with weak souls. Moreover, it was not as good as the soul seal, which could imperceptibly influence the slave and make the slave willingly submit and never betray him. If the other party was determined to betray him and was not afraid of death, then there was nothing he could do. Even so, the effect of the Nether God's Curse was extremely shocking. If the other party really betrayed him, as long as Xia Ping willed it, the other party would be dead, even if they escaped to the ends of the world. Their souls would be burned to ashes by the hellfire. Such an effect was enough to make countless fiends fear him and not dare to betray him easily. Xia Ping's heart skipped a beat. He suddenly realized that after devouring the 3 hell plane essences, the burning hell had undergone an earth-shattering transformation. First, the 3 hell planes that were destroyed by Luna turned into light spots. They passed through countless layers of space and were pulled into the burning hell by the power of hell's origin. Boom! In an instant, the 4 hell planes rapidly merged together. Not only was it the fusion of hell's origin, but also their land, sky, and even the plane laws. It didn't take long for Xia Ping's divine sense to sense that the entire burning hell had expanded. It kept expanding until it was more than twice as big as before. The mountains of the burning hell were growing taller and taller, towering into the sky. Rivers were growing stronger and stronger, like giant dragons crawling across the land. Even the density of hell's energy was increasing. Large amounts of precious hell, ores, and resources were appearing in every corner of the burning hell. This was a hell plane upgrading. It's upgrading. The burning hell is upgrading. What dense hell's energy? I feel like my strength is constantly rising. Praise the Overlord. He actually plundered the energy of other hell planes. This is wonderful. Countless fiends were excited. As natives of the burning hell, they were the most sensitive to the burning hell's upgrading. it was also extremely beneficial to them. This was because every time a hell plane upgraded, it would emit an immense amount of hell's origin energy that would permeate the void and pour into every fiend's body. Originally, they would need thousands of years to evolve, but now they could complete it in just a few days. Their speed of improvement was countless times faster than before. In fact, some fiends who were stuck in bottlenecks would even loosen their bottlenecks due to the upgrading of their planes, allowing them to comprehend many of the laws of hell and gain boundless benefits. That was why the underworld fought against the undying. This was because every time the hell plane advanced, the benefits to the demons were simply too great. In fact, some of the suzerains of hell would even slaughter and conquer other hellish planes for the sake of their own breakthroughs. Otherwise, it would take them millions upon millions of years to achieve their breakthroughs. Yes, the heavenly tribulation is coming. As the burning hell leveled up, Xiaoping looked up and saw countless tribulation clouds gathering in the sky, covering the entire burning hell. A terrible heavenly tribulation energy rolled and surged in the depths of the tribulation clouds. The terrifying heavenly tribulation energy filled the entire burning hell, causing countless demons to tremble. Please remember the domain name of this book. Chapter 2309. Heavens, what's going on? Many infernal fiends immediately discovered that the entire burning infernal realm was shrouded in a layer of tribulation clouds. They were incomparably thick like mercury. The depths of the clouds contained terrifying tribulation energy, as if tribulation lightning could descend at any moment. For these infernal fiends and nether ghosts, tribulation lightning was undoubtedly one of the most terrifying powers. Many infernal fiends trembled when they sensed this power, feeling fear from the depths of their souls. Tribulation lightning, and it's the famous 8th metal tribulation lightning. Some of the more experienced and knowledgeable infernal demons immediately recognized that this was the famous tribulation lightning. No way, it's 8th metal tribulation lightning. Why would such tribulation lightning appear? From ancient times until now, nothing like this has ever happened in the burning infernal realm. Some nether ghosts were dumbfounded. They felt that if this tribulation lightning descended, as nether ghosts, they would be turned to ashes. They wouldn't be able to resist for long. This was a terrifying tribulation lightning that could kill immortals and heavily injure ancient infernal fiends. Maybe our burning infernal realm ascended and devoured the source energies of other infernal realms, which triggered the tribulation lightning. Some infernal fiends guessed. Because the burning infernal realm had never ascended, they were all country bumpkins. They didn't know what would happen after an infernal realm ascension. Impossible. I've never heard of such a thing. How could an infernal realm ascension trigger tribulation lightning? This is ridiculous. How do you know it's impossible? Perhaps the burning infernal realm's ascension violated a great taboo. Shut up. The tribulation lightning seems to be targeting the Lord. The Lord seems to be fighting at the center of the clouds. I hope the Lord can win. Otherwise, the entire burning infernal realm will be destroyed. Don't worry. It's not like you don't know how terrifying the Lord's strength is. He can even kill immortal fiends. So a mere 8th metal tribulation lightning is nothing. The infernal fiends were all deeply worried. But when they thought of Xiaoping's previous accomplishments and his formidable combat strength, they immediately regained their confidence. At this time, in the center of the clouds, the tribulation really came on time, and its 108 layers of 8th metal tribulation lightning. They really think highly of me. Xiaoping stood with his hands clasped behind his back, looking up at the enormous clouds. He could feel the terrifying aura from the huge tribulation cloud. Even though he was a saint at the peak of a mortal realm, he still felt threatened. If it was a normal undying saint, they wouldn't be able to resist at all. Even near ancient saints would be heavily injured and half of their bodies would be paralyzed. Master, Luna looked at Xiaoping worriedly. Don't worry, it's just an 8th metal tribulation thunder. It's nothing. You should leave first so that you won't be affected by the heavenly tribulation. Xiaoping waved his hand and let Luna leave in peace. All right. Upon hearing this, Luna nodded. She knew that she wouldn't be of much help in the face of the heavenly tribulation. Besides, with her master's strength, the 108 lightning strikes shouldn't be a problem. With a whoosh, her figure flickered, and she immediately moved 1,000,000 kilometers away, watching from afar. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, the tribulation clouds in the sky above the burning hell surged. Golden lightning bolts descended like giant dragons, containing boundless destructive power and penetrative power, as if they wanted to reduce this demon to ashes. Moreover, it wasn't just one golden lightning bolt. Once it appeared, there were hundreds and thousands of them, covering hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Every inch of the air gave off a destructive aura. Good timing. Xiaoping didn't dodge. He circulated the dark north body protection technique, and his entire body was wrapped up by a ball of blue energy. It quickly condensed into a dense law barrier, like a Kuanpeng had entered his body. With his body as the center, a Kuanpeng domain was formed, covering 1,000,000 kilometers. It was as if the entire space was wrapped up by an endless ocean. Pung, pung, pung. In an instant, hundreds and thousands of eighth metal tribulation thunder descended and were instantly wrapped up by the domain. No matter how terrifying the lightning was, it was easily digested and even devoured by the domain. Walala, instantly, Xiaoping felt the enormous eighth metal tribulation thunder surge into his dantian, being refined by the solar furnace deep within his body. All impurities were removed, and only the purest lightning essence energy was left. The enormous lightning essence energy immediately surged into his limbs and bones, as well as his 9 purple mansions. With a thought, he discovered that his magic power had suddenly risen to the peak of the sempiternal realm. Even his 9 purple mansions were filled with the enormous energy. There was no space left, and seeing that the purple mansions were no longer able to contain the energy actually circled around and returned to his body, flowing into every cell in his body. In particular, the cells in his body that had been spatialized earlier were all devouring the energy like a whale nibbling away at its prey, leaving not a single drop behind. Are these spatial cells? Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He finally understood how powerful the near ancient sage was. After reaching the near ancient realm, they had completely comprehended the law of space, allowing every cell in their body to turn into space. It was completely unimaginable how much energy such a near ancient sage could store. Moreover, he had the bloodline of the golden crow of hell, and the cells of the golden crow of hell flowed in his body. Every cell was more than 1,000 times larger than an ordinary cell, and the amount of energy they could store was even more terrifying. Dong, dong, dong. Before Xiaoping could think about it, terrifying metal tribulation lightning descended from the void. Each time, there would be hundreds or even thousands of them, and each of them contained enough power to kill ordinary undying demons. But when these lightning bolts landed on Xiaoping's body, they were rapidly refined by the solar furnace in his body. No matter how violent the lightning bolts were, under the refinement of the solar furnace, they were all submissive. Moreover, the magic power in his body was also rising, and the energy rapidly filled every single spatial cell in his body. Heavens, Lord Overlord is too terrifying. He's using the lightning tribulation to temper his body. He's looking down on the heavenly tribulation too much. He's practically treating it as nothing. As expected of Lord Overlord, the Overlord who unified the entire burning hell. He's truly not something we can imagine. So what if it's a mere heavenly tribulation? It won't be able to harm a single hair on Lord Overlord's body. In the distance, the many demons, nether ghosts, demons, and other hell creatures were all incomparably excited when they saw this scene. They felt that their Lord Overlord was simply like a god. Countless hell creatures feared the heavenly tribulation, and they couldn't even dodge it in time. But Lord Overlord dared to face it head-on, and even directly devoured the lightning bolts to strengthen himself. What a magnificent feat! The domain name of this book. Chapter 2310. It's full. Xiaoping ignored the demons of hell around him. He felt dozens of metal tribulation thunder bombarding down from the sky, and countless thunder energy essences were being devoured by him. His magic power was increasing crazily, almost to the peak, and his originally spatialized cells were all able to accommodate it. However, there is so much thunder energy that he could not fully accommodate it with his current body strength. By the way, I still have 3 spatial fruits on me. I could take advantage of this time to devour and refine them to improve the degree of my body's spatialization. Xiaoping suddenly remembered that he still had 3 spatial fruits that he had not devoured. They were obtained by the World Tree after he killed the 3 near ancient demon saints of the Sirius clan. With a wave of his hand, he took out 3 spatial fruits of different sizes. Of the 3 near ancient demon saints he killed, 1 was at the peak near ancient demon saint, and the other 2 were at the middle near ancient demon saint. The power of the law of space in the body of the peak near ancient demon saint was more than 10 times that of the power of the law of space in the body of the middle near ancient demon saint. Therefore, the spatial fruit refined by it contained more than 10 times the power of the law of space, and the effect was better. The power of the law of space in the middle near ancient demon saint was also 10 times that of the law of space in the early near ancient demon saint. It could be said that these 3 spatial fruits were much better than the spatial fruits Xiaoping took last time. Xiaoping did not hesitate and immediately devoured the 3 spatial fruits. Rumble, suddenly, the 3 spatial fruits entered his body and were quickly refined. Then, countless laws of space rushed into his limbs and bones, and the huge power of space was transforming his body. His cells were crystallizing and spatializing. Xiaoping's understanding of the law of space was increasing at a geometrical speed, and his understanding of the law of space was becoming more thorough. At this moment, a huge power of space was pouring into every cell in his body, just like when Pangu created the world. Every cell was like a chaotic world, and then it was opened by the power of Pangu, forming an independent small world. He felt that his body seemed to have countless Dantian sea of qi, and countless cells could contain a huge amount of energy. Perhaps there was no concept of a Dantian sea of qi, and every cell was a sea of qi. 35%. After a long time, Xiaoping felt that his body had completely devoured the spatial energy contained in the 3 spatial fruits, as well as the huge information of the law of space. He suddenly discovered that 35% of his cells had been spatialized. Xiaoping had a premonition that when all the cells in his body were fully spatialized, he would become a near ancient sage. When 35% of the cells in his body were spatialized, he felt an extremely hungry aura coming from his body. Like a glutton, it desired to devour a huge amount of energy to satisfy its body. Right now, it was completely unimaginable how terrifying Xiaoping's current body was. It was simply like a bottomless pit. Originally, an ordinary spatial cell could contain as much energy as a Dantian's Qi Sea. However, the golden crow hell cells in Xiaoping's body could contain more than 1,000 times more energy than an ordinary spatial cell. But now, 35% of his cells had spatialized. His body was like a black hole. No matter how much energy he devoured, he could not satisfy himself. Bang, bang, bang. As if sensing the increase in Xiaoping's aura above the sky, the terrifying will of the universe became even more furious. Huge tribulation clouds surged, and billions of metal tribulation lightning descended, wanting to smash this monster into pieces. All the hell creatures were scared half to death. This was an attack that could destroy the world. The entire burning hell was trembling like an eggshell. It could be destroyed at any moment. They were so scared that they prostrated on the ground, not daring to look directly at it. Some dark ghosts even hid in the depths of the caves, not daring to come out. Any metal tribulation lightning that got close was enough to turn these Yin-type creatures into ashes. Good timing. Xiaoping was now bursting with power. The magic power in his body was so strong that it made people's hair stand on end. He already had a part of the power of an ancient saint, so he was not afraid of the power of the tribulation lightning. He directly rushed into the depths of the tribulation clouds, letting the lightning strike him and the tribulation lightning obliterate him. If it were an ordinary person, this would be stupid. It was basically suicide. As soon as he got close, he would be turned into ashes. Even an ancient saint would not be able to stop it. But Xiaoping was different. His body was too strong. It was like an indestructible body. His body was like a black hole that could devour all the energy in the world. Rumble, suddenly, countless metal tribulation lightning came down like thunder dragons. But when the power of the tribulation lightning entered Xiaoping's body, it was immediately silent. It was as if it had been devoured by a black hole. There was no splash at all. The magic power in his body also increased crazily. Huge amounts of energy flowed into every spatial cell in his body. In the blink of an eye, 7 days and 7 nights passed. The 108 levels of metal tribulation lightning struck Xiaoping for 7 days and 7 nights. It almost razed the area within a radius of 10 million kilometers to the ground. There used to be many mountains in the surroundings, but now they were all gone. Huge pits were formed. The power of the tribulation lightning pierced through the ground. Endless water surged out from the depths of the ground, turning the place into an ocean. It looked blue and boundless. Even the power of the metal tribulation lightning spread out for 10 million kilometers. It seeped into every material in the place, even the ocean. It completely changed the energy attribute of the place, turning the place into a golden sea of lightning. Every drop of water in the sea contained the power of metal tribulation lightning. The soil, ores, and all sorts of minerals were corroded and stained with the attributes of the metal tribulation lightning. Everywhere was shining with golden light. It could be said that the tribulation wasn't just the power of the tribulation. It also contained the power of creation. Once it appeared, it would transform the place of tribulation into an unparalleled treasure land, giving birth to countless precious treasures. The 108 levels of tribulation lightning ended just like that. Too little. Really too little. Standing on the sea of lightning, Xiaoping opened his eyes. He was still a little dissatisfied. He had devoured 108 levels of metal tribulation lightning, but it still couldn't fill up the spatial cells in his body. It didn't even reach 10% of the cells in his body. His body was still sending him a message of hunger, eager to devour more pure energy. Even so, the heavenly tribulation had benefited him immensely. Not only had the magic power in his body increased tremendously, but the golden crow hell cells in his body had also awakened at a crazy rate. At this point, he had awakened a total of 13 billion cells. It could be said that the current golden crow of hell bloodline was 30% richer than before. Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. He found that after awakening 10 billion golden crow of hell cells, he seemed to have undergone an even more mysterious and unbelievable change. A mysterious bloodline power, with his body as the center, spread to the entire burning hell, corroding every hell creature in the burning hell. Remember the original domain name of this book. Chapter 23:11. When the bloodline power swept through every corner of the burning hell, the place closest to Xiaoping, where the demons gathered, immediately changed. Boom! A 3-meter-tall black demon wolf suddenly changed. Its body immediately expanded, and all the muscles in its body swelled. It suddenly became 6 meters tall, and its strength was several times stronger than before. Its sharp claws became sharper and sharper, like treasured swords that could cut through iron as if it were mud. With a light scratch on the ground, it easily tore several terrifying cracks, causing the earth to crack. There was even a pair of scarlet wings growing out of its back. Its entire body was condensed from flames, and it seemed as though every feather contained a tyrannical flame power. With a light shake, the wings flapped wildly, immediately setting off a terrifying hurricane that swept in all directions, causing the surrounding mountains to collapse. At the same time, the scorching flames seemed to have turned into a flaming storm. My God, what happened? The surrounding demons were scared half to death. They had no idea what was going on. They quickly retreated, distancing themselves from the demon wolf that had suddenly changed. Their eyes were filled with shock and bewilderment. They all found that the demon wolf's strength was several times more terrifying than before. But the change did not end. It had just begun. A water demon lion in the distance seemed to have also changed. First, its body immediately expanded several times, becoming the size of a small mountain. Every inch of its muscles contained a terrifying magic power. Then, a pair of black wings suddenly grew on its body, and every feather was filled with terrible black flames. This was the dark flames from hell. Then, red scales grew on its body, and every scale contained a strong red flame. It was as if its entire body was wrapped in flames at this moment. With a bang, it looked up to the sky and let out an excited roar. With its body as the center, it immediately produced a terrifying sound wave that swept in all directions. The area within 1,000 miles was razed to the ground, and all the rocks were shattered. Most of the evil demons nearby were sent flying like rubber balls, unable to resist at all. Even violent flames surged out of its body, burning the earth. Its 4 hooves trampled on the ground, turning the soil within 100 miles into lava. The violent lava flowed on the ground, and thick smoke rose everywhere. What's going on? Why did this happen to the water demon lion? I don't know. I don't understand at all. I've lived for tens of thousands of years, but I've never seen anything like this. It's incredible, but it doesn't seem to be a bad thing. Instead, it's a good thing. Many of the demons were puzzled. They had no idea what was going on. If the demon wolf's mutation was an accident, then what was the reason for the water demon lion's mutation? And such a mutation was obviously of great benefit to the 2 demons. After all, his strength had increased by several times in an instant. Who wouldn't want such a change to happen? This was like a pie falling from the sky. It was truly unimaginable. Look, the rock demon. The rock demon is mutating as well. A demon roared as he looked at the mountain-like rock demon in the distance. The other party was like a giant that was 20 meters tall. Every inch of its muscles was formed from rock, revealing clear muscle veins. It was extremely valiant. Suddenly, the rock demon was surrounded by golden flames, shining brightly. It was like a giant with a height of 20 meters. Every inch of its muscles was made of rock, showing clear muscle lines. But now, the rock demon's entire body was surrounded by golden flames, emitting endless light. It was as if it had turned into a magma giant, controlling the powerful power of fire. At the same time, its eyes also changed dramatically. There seemed to be mysterious flame, runes engraved in the depths of its pupils, as if there was a sun living in it. A mysterious golden rune also appeared on the rock demon's forehead. It seemed to make the rock demon's entire body stronger. Every rock was covered in gold. Ah, my strength has increased several times. I've broken through the limit of my bloodline and become a golden rock demon. The rock demon was excited and roared. With a thud, its huge fist slammed into the ground, immediately causing a terrifying destructive force. A terrifying earthquake occurred within a radius of thousands of kilometers, and terrifying sound waves spread in all directions. Suddenly, a terrifying crack stretched for thousands of kilometers, as if it was tearing the ground apart. Impossible! The rock demon broke through the limit of its bloodline. How is this possible? The demons were dumbfounded and could not believe their eyes. In hell, bloodlines were a factor that limited all demons. Although bloodlines couldn't limit a person's strength, they could limit the limits of a demon's strength. In other words, it was impossible for a low-class demon to become a middle-class demon or even a high-class demon. This was the so-called talent limitation. No matter how hard you worked, no matter how much effort you put in, your strength was limited. You would never be able to break through the limits of your race's bloodline. But now, this rock demon with ordinary strength could only achieve so much in its lifetime. It was impossible for it to advance any further. But at that moment, the strength of the rock golem suddenly increased by several times, breaking through the limits of its bloodline. No, it should be said that its bloodline had become even more terrifying. It was completely different from before, as if it had undergone a mutation. Look, nether ghosts. Those nether ghosts are also changing. Quite a few abyss devils screamed as they stared at the distant group of nether ghosts. The dark ghosts were a single race to begin with, and they could not mutate at all. They were just ghosts. But at this moment, these nether ghosts were also changing. Their originally incorporeal bodies were now bursting with black flames. These were netherworld ghost flames that came from the depths of hell, and they contained a terrifying destructive power. Special black runes instantly poured into the bodies of these nether ghosts, giving them inconceivable power. The powerful netherworld ghost flames burned fiercely. Their bodies had almost become corporeal, as if they had bodies of flesh and blood. These nether ghosts immediately began to emit waves of coldness. With their bodies as the center, a terrifying ice storm appeared, freezing everything within thousands of kilometers. These netherworld ghost flames were cold flames that could freeze everything, even the soul. The demons were scared half to death. They retreated, not daring to get close to these nether ghosts. They were afraid that if they were corroded by the netherworld ghost flames, their souls would collapse and they would turn to ash. I know. Suddenly, an ancient abyss devil cried out in joy. This is a bloodline corrosion, a bloodline corrosion. It seemed to think of something, and its body began to tremble with excitement. It was almost unable to suppress its excitement. Chapter 23:12. Bloodline erosion? What do you mean by bloodline erosion? Many demons didn't understand this. They didn't know what it was either. It's an ancient legend. The ancient demon said excitedly. It said that in the depths of hell, there are some terrifying demons with a bloodline of gods and demons. These demons' bloodline power surpasses everything. They're the kings of all demons, true descendants of demon gods. Once such a descendant of a demon god appears, he'll be chased by countless creatures of hell. He'll willingly become his subordinate, offering his loyalty and never betraying him. Why would he willingly submit? Many demons were puzzled. As demons of hell, they were all arrogant and untamed. Unless the other party was stronger than them and could suppress them, they would never submit. Not to mention, they would willingly submit and become the other party's slave. The reason is simple. It's because of the bloodline of the demon god's descendants. The ancient demon clenched his fist. This bloodline power is of the highest level in hell. It's extremely invasive and can distort everything. If demons like us get close to the demon god's descendants, we'll immediately be affected by their bloodline and become their dependents. From then on, our bodies will be contaminated with a trace of the demon god's bloodline. Even if it's just a trace, it's an opportunity to change our fate. This kind of demon god's bloodline can allow low-level demons to advance to middle-level demons, middle-level demons to advance to high-level demons, and high-level demons to advance to peak-level demons, thereby breaking through the bloodline's restrictions. What? Hearing this, all the infernal demons were shocked, and boundless waves surged in their hearts. Merely staying by the side of a demon god's descendant would actually cause them to be corroded by the demon god's bloodline, and from there become his dependents, completely changing their fates. If they were low-level demons, they might only be able to reach the Golden Core realm or the Aspect realm their entire lives. But if they could become the dependents of a demon god's descendant and be contaminated with a trace of the demon god's bloodline, they might be able to raise their strength to the lightning tribulation realm or even become an immortal demon. If low-level demons could have such a fortuitous encounter, then what about middle-level demons and even high-level demons? The benefits they could obtain were simply unimaginable. It was no wonder that the appearance of a demon god's descendant would cause countless demons to crazily pledge their loyalty. This not only represented following a future ruler of hell, but it was also an opportunity to change their fate. It's said that in the infernal realm, some of the more powerful infernal planes are ruled by the descendants of demon gods. The ancient abyss devil said solemnly, "As a result, these abyss devils from the plains of hell have all become the kin of the demon god and broken through the limits of their bloodline. Their combat strength is several times stronger than other abyss devils of the same rank, and their potential is limitless. The reason why the demon wolves, water demon lions, rock demons, and dark ghosts underwent such strange changes is clearly because they were corroded by the demon god's bloodline and became the demon god servants. It voiced its conjecture. In that case, our Lord is likely to be a true descendant of the demon god. Many demons were so excited that they could hardly contain themselves. It's not a possibility. There's no doubt that his lordship is a true descendant of the demon god. The ancient fiend devil roared, "We're rich. We're rich. As long as we follow this Lord, we'll be able to ascend to the heavens in a single step. We'll become the rulers of hell. This Lord is the natural king of the infernal world, a natural ruler. Sooner or later, he will also stand at the peak of the infernal world, and we will also become the followers of the great devil god, sweeping through the heavens." It was incredibly excited. After living for so long, it finally had a chance to change its fate. Right now, this mighty descendant of the demon god was still not very powerful. It could only be said to have risen from the bottom, which was why it had the chance to follow such a mighty existence. If it could continue to follow this mighty descendant of the demon god, fighting all over the world, it would definitely become a mighty demon god one day, and its name would resound throughout the infernal world. Hurry, hurry, and get closer to his lordship. It's said that the closer you get to his lordship, the more your bloodline will be corroded, and the stronger your demon god's bloodline will be. A chance. This is a chance to ascend to the heavens in a single step. As long as I can get close to his lordship, even if I'm just a low-level demon god, I can become a demon god's follower that far surpasses the highest level demon god. The eyes of the many demons and dark ghosts turned red, and they almost couldn't restrain themselves. As if on a pilgrimage, they madly rushed towards Xiaoping, trying to be corroded and infected by the demon god's bloodline. In the blink of an eye, 5 or 6 days passed. Over the past 5 or 6 days, the burning hell had been constantly changing. Every fiend, demon, and nether ghost had undergone a heaven-shaking transformation. Some of them had wings on their bodies, either golden or black. They had grasped the ability to fly, and some had even grasped the terrifying power of fire. With a light flap of their wings, they would create a boundless storm of fire. Some of the giant abyssal's bodies had become stronger, and a tyrannical power of fire had seeped into the depths of their bloodlines. Their entire bodies were set ablaze, and dense scales had even appeared on their bodies, making them indestructible. Moreover, they were incredibly strong, as if their bodies contained endless power. They could easily move mountains and drain seas. Some demons had elementalized, transforming into creatures of fire. Their bodies burned with terrifying flames, and wherever they went, the earth would be turned to lava. Not even a blade of grass would grow. They were equivalent to having half an immortal body, and ordinary demons couldn't kill them. Some demons' eyes had also changed. They seemed to gain all kinds of special abilities, making them extremely strange and mysterious. Some of the nether ghosts had also undergone inconceivable changes. They had also grasped the power of nether fire. Some of their bodies had even grown armor, while others had grown weapons. It was as if these dark ghosts had turned into true ghost generals. The strength of the burning hell's demons had increased several times over, and as time passed, the power of their bloodline was madly increasing. Sensing this change, these demons grew even more frenzied. They hurried towards Xia Ping's palace like they were on a pilgrimage. They knew that this was a chance to change their fate. As a result, the area around the palace was filled with infernal demons. Almost all the demons of the burning hell had come. The stronger the demon, the closer they were to the palace, the more bloodline corrosion they would receive, and the more power they would obtain. This excited the demons even more. However, they didn't dare to get too close to the palace of this lord of the demon god's descendant. They only stayed outside the palace as loyal guards. They were unprecedentedly loyal, completely different from before. Chapter 23:13. At this moment, Xia Ping was cultivating in a quiet room in the palace of the burning hell. I didn't expect the golden crow of hell bloodline to have such an effect. Xia Ping couldn't help but sigh as he thought about the changes that had happened in the burning hell over the past few days. When the golden crow of hell bloodline cells in his body had awakened 13 billion, the golden crow of hell bloodline in his body had become unbelievably dense. It had reached the level of corrupting reality. The majestic power of the bloodline that emanated from his body contained a powerful and mysterious transformation power. It was as if the life forms that came close to him would be forcefully corroded by the bloodline and become his dependents. He could even vaguely sense the various powerful hellish life forms that had become his dependents. It was as if these life forms had already become a part of his power, and every dependent was being corroded by his dark god curse. Perhaps the reason why his bloodline power was so terrifying was because of the dark god curse. After all, this curse could not only control all kinds of life forms, but could also bring great benefits to countless life forms. They would be infected by the golden crow of hell bloodline, allowing them to break through the limits of their own bloodline. However, this bloodline corrosion power isn't limited to hellish life forms. Other life forms, such as humans, plants, and even inanimate objects like rocks, will be corroded by the bloodline. In the past few days, Xiaoping had been staying in the palace of the burning hell. He also discovered that the bloodline power in his body was unbelievably powerful. Even if he didn't deliberately control it, the formless influence of the bloodline was extremely shocking. Everywhere it went, countless life forms would change. The influence was so great that it covered the entire burning hell. Of course, the closer it was to his body, the more obvious the influence would be. The further away it was, the less the effect would be. Therefore, in order not to affect the various life forms in the space of the mountain river Pearl, he temporarily stayed in the burning hell until he could completely control the release of his bloodline power. Otherwise, when he moved around, the golden crow of hell bloodline in his body would spread everywhere, which would probably cause great trouble in the universe. System, does the golden crow of hell bloodline really have such an effect? It can make countless life forms become dependents of the golden crow of hell. Thinking of this, Xiaoping immediately asked the system. He wanted to know some of the secrets of the golden crow of hell bloodline. The system said, that's right. This is indeed the effect of the golden crow of hell's bloodline. Although you didn't control it and just unconsciously released it, it still greatly affected these hell creatures, turning them into the golden crow of hell's kin. In fact, it's not just the golden crow of hell that has this kind of bloodline power. It should be said that every mythological beast or demon god has this kind of bloodline power that can corrode everything in the world and make them their dependents. This is the most fundamental power of a mythological beast, and it can change countless races in the world. It expressed that this was the true terror of the divine beast bloodline. Take the dragon clan, for example. Their supreme existence was the ancestral dragon, the primogenitor of all dragons. All dragons were born through the ancestral dragon's bloodline. If the ancestral dragon's bloodline was rich, it would transform into all kinds of elemental dragons, heaven dragons, primordial dragons, and so on. These were all relatively powerful, giant dragons of the dragon race, true high-end combat power. And these giant dragons also had the power of the ancestral dragon's bloodline to infect other creatures. Wherever a giant dragon existed, its dragon blood, dragon breath, and even dragon power could corrode everything in the world. Some originally ordinary creatures would also become various kinds of dragon subspecies because of the dragon power. They also became the vassal races of the dragon clan, becoming their dependents. However, the ancestral dragon's bloodline in these subspecies was too thin, so they lost the bloodline power to infect other races. They could only reproduce to pass down their bloodline from generation to generation. However, it was precisely because there were too many species of subspecies that many people also spread the rumor that if the dragons weren't so absurd, how could there be so many subspecies of dragons? In fact, this was just a rumor. After all, there were so many subspecies of dragons. Even if the dragons were really so absurd, plundering the beauties of various races day and night, it would still be impossible for them to give birth to so many descendants. The reason why there were so many subspecies of dragons was because of the erosion of the mythological beast bloodline. Of course, It could not be denied that the dragons were vigorous. Even if they were not stud horses, ordinary races could not compare to them. Otherwise, this rumor would have appeared among the other mythological beasts instead of the dragons. Oh, by the way, the dragon scientist Titania I met before built a world to study dragon-blooded creatures. Could it be to study the mysteries of the true mythological beast bloodline? Xiaoping suddenly remembered the dragon scientist Titania's laboratory he had encountered before. The power of the dragon blood was indeed extraordinary. Not only did it have a great effect on all kinds of creatures, but it also had a great corrosive effect on all kinds of matter in the universe. For example, after being eroded by dragon blood, stones would turn into dragon bloodstones and become superior, refining materials. At the same time, they would have various special attributes. Another example would be weeds. They were originally ordinary weeds, but after being eroded by dragon power, they would also turn into dragon bloodgrass. After consuming it, it would bring great benefits to all creatures in the universe. From this, one could imagine the power of the mythological beast bloodline. In fact, it was not just the dragons. For example, because the phoenix's bloodline was extremely amazing, it also had many vassal races that had the subspecies bloodline. For example, the Chilean race also had many vassal races with many dependents. The black tortoise race, the vermilion bird race, and so on were the same. It could be said that every true mythological beast had countless living beings gathered around it. This was naturally formed, and in the end, a terrifying super race was formed. Even ordinary creatures would have limitless potential after being eroded by the mythological beast bloodline. The infernal golden crows, and even the descendants of the demon gods in hell clearly had the same ability. However, not all creatures could be called mythological beasts. Some creatures only had powerful combat strength, but could not develop into a race and undergo the erosion of bloodlines. For example, the Taotai, Qiongqi, and other creatures of the primordial 10 beasts did not have similar abilities. Therefore, they were far from being comparable to true mythological beasts. Perhaps the Titania has already reached an extremely high level and wants to study her own dragon bloodline. She wants to understand the origin of all dragons, and only then can she break through. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. He guessed what the dragon scientist Titania was thinking. Perhaps it was because this idea touched the taboo of the dragon race, causing her to be banished by the dragon race and hunted everywhere. However, this was just a thought. He was not very clear about the actual situation. After all, this matter was a bit distant from him, and it had nothing to do with him. Please remember this book's domain name. Chapter 2314. Another few days passed. Xiaoping finally gained full control of his golden crow of hell bloodline. He retracted all of the bloodline power into his body so that it wouldn't leak out and affect other living beings. At this time, the demons of the burning hell's mutation finally came to an end. They all became the golden crow of hell's kin. Their mutations varied in size. In short, every hell creature received a different level of improvement. There were even 9 infernal demons who were stuck at the peak of tribulation lightning. Because of this, they immediately broke through and evolved, becoming immortal realm early-stage demons. They all became Xiaoping's commanders in the burning hell, responsible for leading countless hellish demons. Originally, with their bloodline and talent, they shouldn't have been able to reach the immortal realm. But because of Xiaoping's golden crow of hell's bloodline, their bloodline was strengthened, allowing them to break through. It was as if their talent had increased by dozens of times in an instant. This made it much easier for them to break through. Therefore, these undying fiends were all loyal and devoted to Xiaoping. It's time to find a new plane of hell. Xiaoping hadn't forgotten his goal in coming to the burning hell. It was a pleasant surprise that his bloodline had improved, but his main goal was to reach the near ancient sage realm. To achieve this goal, he needed to find a new plane of hell, kill more near ancient demons, and refine them into spatial fruits. Luna. Thinking of this, he immediately contacted Luna with his mind. Master. Sensing Xiaoping's telepathic message, Luna's figure flickered, and she immediately appeared in front of Xiaoping. Where is the new plane of hell? What's it called? Xiaoping asked. Luna thought for a moment. My cadaver bug clone has already arrived at the plane of hell and received some information. The plane of hell seems to be called the scorched hell. It's at least 1,000 times larger than the burning hell. Because of this, the demons of the scorched hell are much stronger than the burning hell. Before, the burning hell could only give birth to immortal demons, but the scorched hell can give birth to large numbers of them, and even near ancient demons. Also, it's not very far from the burning hell, only about 100,000 light years away. The reason why we haven't discovered it is because the hell storms in the void are too terrifying, and these demons are unable to leave the scorched hell. In fact, there was no communication between the planes of hell. Sometimes, it wasn't because they were too far apart, but because of the terrible hellish storms that blew between them. Such storms could easily tear apart even the saints of the near ancient era. This was even more so for ordinary demons. This part of the void was simply a dead end. So many demons could only stay in their own territory and not leave easily. Only Luna's indestructible cadaver bug clone could easily explore the hell plane in all directions. Even if it encountered a hell storm, it would follow the storm, which would speed up the cadavered bug's exploration. Ancient demons? Seems like the scorched hell is really a good place. Hearing this, Xiaoping's eyes lit up. If he could conquer the scorched earth hell, it would bring him a lot of benefits, and he would be able to refine even more spatial fruits. Of course, he still needed to personally explore the scorched earth hell to get more information. All right, let's head to the scorched hell immediately. Xiaoping immediately acted without hesitation. There was no benefit in staying in the scorched hell anyway. The next day, Xiaoping and Luna steered the stars and left the scorched hell for the scorched hell. Boom! Once they left the scorched hell, the spaceship immediately entered the boundless void of the hell world. It was not much different from the starry sky of the universe. There was nothing around it, and it was like chaos. Whoosh whoosh. However, there were terrifying black holes everywhere in this void, and no one knew where they were connected to. Black hell monsoon kept blowing from the depths of these black holes, sweeping past without any pattern. It was as if every inch of the storm could destroy everything, and any matter would be shattered into pieces. If demons came to this void empty-handed, they would be killed by the hell monsoon in an instant, and not even ashes would be left. Bang, bang, bang. Terrifying black wind blades attacked from a void. There were thousands of them, and they bombarded the stars in a frenzy, trying to cut the spaceship into ashes. However, the myriad stars' hull emitted layers of faint green barriers that were like spatial barriers, easily blocking the spatial wind blades. Fortunately, the stars had already been upgraded to a high-grade sacred artifact, and its defense was extremely strong. Even the hell monsoon could not destroy the stars. Even if it was slightly damaged, it would quickly regenerate and recover due to the star's vine's undying characteristics. What's this? Suddenly, Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. Layers of gray storms suddenly blew over from afar, emitting a terrifying aura. It seemed to freeze this void silently. This was completely different from the hell monsoon. There was no physical damage, but it was extremely strange and more lethal. Master, this is the soul-devouring storm. Luna had stayed in hell for a long time and had learned a lot about the hell world. It's also one of the most terrifying storms in the hell void. It's invisible and can penetrate all matter, destroying all demons' souls. Some powerful demons are not afraid of the hell monsoon, but they are afraid of the soul-devouring storm. Once they encounter it, they will die without a doubt. Rumble, in the blink of an eye, the soul-devouring storm blasted over, covering the entire sky and instantly enveloping the stars. The soul ripples that could penetrate all matter attempted to penetrate the stars and directly attack the living beings on the spaceship. However, this strange ripple was blocked by a thin layer of silvery white metal on the surface of the spaceship. It was the earthly soul mithril. It could block most soul attacks. It blocked it. Seeing this, Xiaoping laughed out loud. He was very happy. He had spent a lot of points to exchange for this universal treasure, the earthly soul mithril. It was indeed very useful. It was indeed a supreme treasure that could block soul attacks, and countless sages coveted it. If he did not have the earthly soul mithril, he would probably have to rely on his own cultivation to face this soul-devouring storm. However, with the earthly soul mithril covering the spaceship, it could easily block the strange power of the soul-devouring storm, isolating all the strange soul ripples outside the spaceship. It could be said that the stars could not only run amok in the mystic zones, but it could also run amok in the hell world. It was a powerful spaceship that could travel in any dangerous place. Chapter 23:15. A day passed in the blink of an eye. Under Luna's guidance, the stars set off towards scorched hell. They would probably arrive in a day's time. Although the hell monsoon in this void was very strong and would occasionally cause other disasters, with the stars' defense and speed, they could easily avoid it. Suddenly, Xiaoping's eyes flashed coldly. He felt a terrifying killing intent and malice coming from the void in the distance. It seemed to cover a radius of billions of kilometers. Luna had the same feeling and immediately became alert. Whoosh! A black, tattered spaceship flew over from afar. It was like a ghost ship, extremely fast, as if it was fleeing in a panic. It was heading towards Xiaoping. Behind the black spaceship, hundreds and thousands of grayish-white monsters appeared. These monsters had many terrifying tentacles and emitted evil, twisted, and dark auras. These monsters were extremely terrifying. They seemed to live in the void, and even the hell monsoon could do nothing to them. What were these monsters? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could sense how terrifying these monsters were. That was because on the black ship were 2 early near-ancient fiend devils, as well as 20 undying fiend devils. All of them were incredibly strong. However, facing these grayish-white monsters, they were so scared that they ran for their lives, not daring to stay. The black spaceship, which was originally extremely powerful, seemed to have become tattered under the attacks of these monsters, and was full of scars. Luna, do you know what these things are? Xiaoping looked at Luna. He felt that Luna must have some understanding of these monsters after staying in hell for so long. They are void monsters, Luna said in a low voice, her face also showing a hint of a serious expression. She said that these void monsters did not have any intelligence. Their souls were all messy and twisted. They only had the habits of killing and devouring. Once they encountered any living beings, they would immediately devour and tear them apart. It could be said that these void monsters were the true threat of hell. Countless demons had died in the mouths of these void monsters, becoming their fertilizer. No one knew where these void monsters came from. Some demons said that they might be the crystallization of evil power that came out from the crevices of hell. They were the amalgamation of all evil power and negative consciousness. There were also demons who said that this might be a descendant of the evil god, one of the main culprits that destroyed the infernal world. In short, these void monsters were a true threat to the hell void. Countless demons who wanted to go to other hell planes would be stopped by these void monsters. In fact, the stronger the hell plane, the more void monsters would be attracted to it. It was said that there were densely packed monster nests in the vicinity of some of the top hellish planes because the creatures of those hellish planes were extremely attractive to the void monsters. They didn't have any emotions at all, only the habit of chaos and slaughter. They were almost indestructible, and even if some were killed, some would be born somewhere else. Since ancient times, there had never been a lack of void monsters. When Luna roamed the void of hell and searched for other planes of hell, she encountered these void monsters and had a tough battle with them. If it wasn't for her immortality, she might have died at the hands of these void monsters. Void monster. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He sensed that these void monsters' characteristics were similar to the zombie beast Luna. They were similarly crazy and twisted, without any intelligence, and were very difficult to kill. He couldn't help but guess that Luna's birth had something to do with these void monsters. Or, how did Titania create Luna? It was extremely difficult to give birth to such an indestructible creature. Master, that black spaceship is flying over here. Should we avoid it? Luna said. Interesting. They saw us. So those demons are purposely looking at the spaceship? Xiaoping instantly laughed. There's no need to avoid it. Since they want to die, let them come together. We can also destroy these demons and the void monsters together. In the distance, on the black spaceship, the atmosphere was filled with panic, fear, and other emotions. Faster, drive faster. Are you an idiot? Can't you see that the void monsters are catching up to us? When they really catch up to us, we'll all die. All of us, understand? T. You think I don't want to drive faster? This is already the fastest we can go. If we go any faster, this spaceship will completely fall apart. At that time, we won't even know how we died. Damn it, we're so unlucky. We've been hiding for a very long time, concealing our auras. Why do we still encounter these void monsters? If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have come out to find a new plane of hell. What pioneer? What overnight riches? What T? Now that we're about to die, we'll all become fertilizer for the void monsters. The demons were all terrified. They felt that the end of the world was coming. Even as undying beings, they were helpless against these terrifying void monsters. Many of their comrades had already died in the hands of the void monsters. In fact, let alone undying beings, even ancient demons who had comprehended the laws of space were helpless against these monsters that were practically unkillable. Look, there's a spaceship ahead. All of a sudden, an undying demon noticed Xiaoping's stars and shouted while pointing ahead. Strange, what kind of spaceship is this? Why haven't I seen it before? Some demons were confused, expressing that they had never seen a spaceship like this in the void of hell. This spaceship looked too futuristic, much better than these broken spaceships. Who cares what spaceship it is? An ancient demon's eyes flashed coldly. It came at the right time. With this spaceship as a scapegoat, it will definitely become our scapegoat. Who knows, it might be able to stop these void monsters and give us a chance to escape. Many evil plans flashed through its mind. Haha, you're right. This spaceship came at the right time. Charge right now. Don't let that spaceship escape. With this mysterious spaceship as a scapegoat, we'll definitely be able to leave this damn place alive. Who knows, those void monsters might be full after eating that strange spaceship and stop chasing us. What are we waiting for? Let's go now. The many undying demons were excited. Their eyes flashed with excitement, as if they had found a way to survive. For demons like them, doing something like this was a normal thing, not even worth mentioning. And to survive, they would do anything. Chapter 23:16. Friend. At this time, a powerful mental wave came from the depths of the void. It was transmitted to every part of the ship, allowing Xiaoping and Luna to hear it clearly. At the same time, this voice also contained a powerful pressure and a tyrannical aura. I am Presco, an ancient demon. I am being chased by void monsters. If you can help me, I will repay you in the future. I have many treasures on me. If you save me, I will give you a share. The ancient demon Presco's voice rang out. Clearly, this demon was the captain of the black ship. He said that he had many treasures on him. If Xiaoping could save him, he would be rich. No need, Xiaoping said. I advise you to leave this place immediately. Don't draw the void monsters here. Otherwise, I will treat you as enemies and destroy you. How could he not know what this demon was trying to do? It was obviously asking him to be a scapegoat to help fight against the void monsters. Not to mention whether he could succeed or not. Even if he succeeded and saved all these demons would probably not fulfill their promise. Betrayal was a common occurrence among demons, and they never kept their promises. Aunt, don't be so shameless. Don't think I don't know your strength just because you're hiding in the ship. I've already investigated you. You're probably only at the immortal rank, and there are only 2 of you in the ship. Presco roared. With such low strength, you dare to be so arrogant in front of the great ancient demon? You dare to disobey my orders? You're courting death. I order you to immediately drive a spaceship over and block these void monsters, buying us some time to escape. Otherwise, before the void monsters kill you, I will immediately eliminate you and make you die without a complete corpse. He was furious. A mere immortal demon dared to put on airs in front of the great ancient demon. He would not even know how he died. In a world of demons, strength represented everything. Being stronger meant being superior to others. Low-level demons could not fight against high-level demons. But now, this immortal fiend was saying such things to an ancient fiend. If this wasn't disgraceful, then what was? It was so angry that its lungs almost exploded. If it wasn't for the void monster chasing after it, it would have torn this shameless, undying demon into pieces, displaying its dignity as an ancient demon. Master, I want to kill them. Luna's eyes revealed a terrifying killing intent. These stupid demons actually dared to talk to their master like this. Just based on this tone alone, they should die dozens of times. Their souls should become her food and be tortured for countless years before they could die. There's no need for you to do anything. They're just some weak, evil demons. Now's a good chance to test out the power of the stars. Xia Ping waved his hand, his expression indifferent. Of course, he wouldn't be so easily angered by these dying demons. However, if these demons wanted to die, he would grant them their wish. Ever since the multitude stars have been upgraded to a high-grade Saint artifact, he had not tried out the spaceship's combat power. Now is the perfect time to test it out. Bloom, Constellation Vine. With a thought, Xia Ping injected the dermic powers in his body and activated the entire multi-star. Rumble. The originally normal-sized multi-star was now growing at a terrifying speed. Huge vines extended in all directions, becoming thicker and longer. In an instant, the entire multi-star turned into a towering, universe-level, undying plant. The true form of the constellation vine was also revealed to the demons. Meanwhile, Xia Ping and Luna stayed in a space deep in the core of the constellation vine. Tens of thousands of vines extended from its body, and each vine was tens of millions of kilometers long. Densely packed sawtooth appeared on the surface of the vines, like the teeth of a shark. They were responsible for cutting up all living creatures and killing enemies. Tens of thousands of vines were completely revealed. This also made the constellation vine's size extremely terrifying. Its current size was not any smaller than a supersun. It was unimaginable. An undying plant size was actually comparable to a sun. Each vine easily covered hundreds of millions of kilometers. However, this was the true constellation vine, a terrifying plant that ate stars as food. Those demons were originally only tens of thousands of kilometers away from the multi-star. Now, they were naturally engulfed by the constellation vine. Even the void monsters were the same. It was like some fish swimming in the ocean. The constellation vine was the ocean, while the undying demons and void monsters were the fish swimming in the ocean. No matter where they escaped to, they could not escape from the ocean. Xia Ping stayed inside the body of the constellation vines and looked down at the demons and void monsters trapped inside the constellation vines. Oh my God, what kind of monster is this? What did we encounter? What exactly did we encounter? You must be joking. A plant is actually bigger than a small hellplane. This is too exaggerated. How are we supposed to fight? Seeing the constellation vine completely reveal its form, all the undying demons were so scared that they peed their pants. Their faces were ashen. They could feel the powerful, undying aura and dense life force coming from the plant. Even a single strand of aura was enough to make them shiver. Without a doubt, this plant was an apex predator. Its vines were able to cause ripples in the void of hell with a casual swipe, and its size was comparable to that of the sun. All of this was proof of its power. Presco, the ancient demon who had threatened to use Xia Ping as a shield, was now green in the face. How could he not know that he had kicked an iron plate? Without a doubt, the mysterious master of that ship was even more terrifying than the void monsters chasing after them. It's over, Captain. We're finished. How did we provoke such a monster? The undying demons' faces turned green. They wanted to drag a demon down with them, but they did not expect to provoke such a terrifying enemy. Originally, there was only the void monsters chasing after them, but now there was another powerful enemy. There was a wolf in front and a tiger behind. How would I know? How would I know that this would happen? Who would have thought that this spaceship was actually such a terrifying monster? It's completely unexpected. Presco clenched his fists, sweating profusely. If he had known about this, he would not have dared to threaten the other party. He would have run as far away as he could. Even though he was an ancient demon who comprehended the law of space, he did not have much confidence against such a terrifying plant. Chapter 23:17. Kill them. Xiaoping didn't waste time talking to these demons. He immediately gave an order to the constellation vine. Boom! In an instant, thousands of vines danced and smashed towards the demons. It was like a carnivorous flower. Be it the immortal demons or the ancient demons, they couldn't escape and were all wrapped up. Damn it, you want to kill us? You must be dreaming. Attack! Attack now. Kill this damn plant. We can't die here. We didn't even die after being chased by the void monsters for so long. How can we die in your hands? Scram. Scram now. The immortal demons and the two early ancient demons went berserk and roared. They could feel a fatal killing intent coming at them, permeating every corner of the void. Terrifying demonic energy surged in their bodies. They wanted to use all their strength to tear the vines of the plant apart. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The vines on the constellation vine were too huge. Each of them was as thick as a star, at least tens of millions of kilometers long. No matter how the demons struggled, they couldn't damage the vines at all. It was like cutting a tree with a knife. It was futile. All the attacks from the immortal demons felt like they were being massaged. They turned invisible and were easily blocked by the vines. Impossible. What kind of joke is this? Our attacks are useless. It's too big. This plant is simply too big. Its size alone is comparable to a small hellplane. How are we supposed to fight it? No matter how hard we try, we won't be able to destroy a single one of its vines. Before we can even make a single cut, the plant will rapidly recover. How can an immortal rank plant be so terrifying? Soul attack. Only soul attacks can deal with this plant, penetrate its body, and tear its soul apart. It's useless. I tried just now. Its body seems to be covered with a layer of special material. It can easily isolate soul ripples and make it immune to soul attacks. What kind of joke is this? How can there be such a monster in this world? It can't be harmed by physical attacks, but is immune to soul attacks? Isn't it invincible? How is this possible? All the evil demons crumbled and fell into complete despair. They had never encountered such an opponent before. They were simply helpless and had no way to deal with him. Boom! Without waiting for them to speak, the constellation vine closed up, and thousands of vines crazily compressed, squeezing and strangling these demons. Bang, bang, bang. In the blink of an eye, the undying fiends and ancient fiends were smashed to pieces. Their bones were crushed, their muscles turned to mush. Every inch of their body was crushed. They couldn't even hold on for a second, and, at the same time, they let out shrill screams. With just a single strike, all of them, including the ancient demon Presco, were crushed to death. Even their souls were torn to shreds. Very strong. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. This was the first time he had seen the constellation vine unleash its full power. It was indeed incomparably domineering, completely enveloping the enemy and instantly killing them, crushing them into minced meat. No matter how these enemies struggled, they were unable to escape from the constellation vine's predatory domain. After all, the size of the constellation vines was simply too big, like the sun. Moreover, they possessed an indestructible body. Even if one of them was killed, it would not take long for it to regrow. Just one vine was already so terrifying, and there were tens of thousands of vines on its body. How could it be killed? Most likely, even if these fiends exhausted themselves to death, they still wouldn't be able to kill the constellation vines. The constellation vines originally had a weakness, which was their souls. The reason why the constellation vines had been killed by the human race sage was because that human race sage had used a soul attack through the constellation vine's main body, shattering its soul. The problem was that it was now covered in Earth Soul Mithril, and its weakness had been completely covered. Right now, its body was immune to most soul attacks. This was an unshakable super fortress that could sweep through everything. If the constellation vines were to meet that human race sage again, it would be hard to tell who would win. So, Thinking of this, Xiaoping didn't hesitate. He waved his hand and immediately collected the scattered fiend's flesh and blood, handing them to the world tree to devour. These were all important ingredients that could be refined into undying fruits and spatial fruits. They couldn't be wasted. Right, there are also these void monsters. He looked at the thousands of void monsters that were attacking from afar. They let out deafening soul roars, seemingly ignoring most matter and directly penetrating into the souls of living beings. Ordinary fiends wouldn't be able to withstand such soul roars at all. In an instant, they would bleed from their 7 orifices. Even those with powerful souls would feel dizzy and temporarily lose consciousness. It was a pity that these void monsters weren't strong enough. When these strange soul waves came to the constellation vine's main body, they were immediately isolated by the Earth Soul Mithril. Strangle. With a single thought, Xiaoping made the constellation vines attack once more. The tens of thousands of vines danced like super monsters, bringing forth endless gales and stirring up origin energy. It was as though even this space couldn't withstand such a mighty force. Moreover, within each super vine, there were over 100 million smaller vines that were like densely packed roots. They contained endless sharpness and penetrative power. These millions of roots were like millions of sword cheese, blasting towards the void monsters at a speed that surpassed 1,000 times that of sound. They were simply indestructible. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, before the thousands of void monsters could even get close, they were torn into countless pieces. Their bodies were riddled with holes, leaving only a pile of minced meat in the void. However, these void monsters weren't dead yet. The scattered minced meat was still wriggling crazily, as though they wanted to gather again and form a new body. They're still not dead. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. At this moment, he finally felt how terrifying these void monsters were. Their combat strength wasn't much stronger than sages of the same level. It was just that they were too hard to kill. Even if they were beaten into a molecular state, they had extremely powerful recovery ability. They were 100 times more terrifying than the undying bodies of ordinary, undying sages. Interesting, I want to see what the essence of these void monsters are. Thinking of this, Xiaoping activated the infernal golden crow eye. His 2 eyes slowly rotated. One was the eye of hell, the other was the golden crow eye. When the 2 eyes combined, he could see through all the mysteries of the world. No illusions could obstruct him. Boom! Instantly, his body shook. His terrifying gaze pierced through the bodies of these void monsters, penetrating their essence and seeing the souls in the depths of their bodies. What exactly are these things? Xiaoping found it hard to believe. Chapter 23:18. From the depths of these void monsters, what entered Xiaoping's eyes was a black, distorted soul. This soul was completely different from humans, demons, elementals, abyssal monsters, and even demons. It was as if it was a species from a different universe. That distorted soul seemed to be filled with black sin. Its entire body seemed to be condensed from black liquid, emitting darkness, chaos, distortion, madness, and many other auras. Generally speaking, the souls of ordinary living beings, even abyssal demons, hellish demons, and other living beings, even if their souls looked dark, they were orderly. Because there was order, they could maintain their sense of self. They had their own independent souls and could think independently. This was how life's intelligence was born. But these void monsters were different. They were chaotic and distorted existences without any consciousness. Their souls were filled with killing, devouring, and other desires. It was as if these void monsters were creatures condensed from all kinds of desires. They were chaotic aggregations, indescribable things. No wonder these void monsters are so hard to kill. Xiaoping also understood why these void monsters were so hard to kill and became a huge problem for many demonic creatures. As everyone knew, the soul was equivalent to a very precise super instrument. As long as one part was damaged, the entire soul would collapse. So if the soul of an ordinary living being was damaged, it would quickly die. But these void monsters were different. They had no consciousness and were pure aggregations of sin. Even if they were destroyed, as long as their souls weren't completely destroyed, they could quickly regenerate. So, not only could they regenerate their flesh, but their souls could also regenerate. As long as there was no way to instantly destroy these void monsters' souls, they would constantly regenerate. Countless demons were like this. Even if their combat strength was the same, they would still be exhausted to death by these void monsters. Whoosh, while Xiaoping was thinking, the flesh and blood of these void monsters wriggled and actually gathered together again. The original 1,000 void monsters had now turned into 100 void monsters. Although their numbers had decreased, each void monster's strength had increased by a little. This was also one of the reasons why void monsters were so terrifying. If one were to smash them into pieces, not only would they not die, but they would also fuse together due to the stimulation of life and death, increasing their strength by several times. If their bodies were destroyed countless times, they would condense into a super monster. That kind of strength would increase at a geometrical rate, and even the saints of the Middle Ages would be killed by it. Looks like the Thousand Stars Vine won't be able to kill them. The only way to kill these void monsters is to use the infernal golden crow flames. Xiaoping could see that ordinary methods wouldn't be able to kill these void monsters. If even the infernal golden crow flames couldn't kill these void monsters, then he could only run. In an instant, Xiaoping's silhouette flashed as he activated the golden crow of hell bloodline in his body. He immediately slapped out with his palm, and a terrifying golden crow of hell claw condensed in the void, spanning tens of millions of kilometers. In an instant, the infernal golden crow claw condensed from flames captured the hundreds of void monsters. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying dark golden flame surged out from the depths of the giant claw and quickly covered the bodies of these void monsters. The void monsters that were originally fearless and only possessed a chaotic consciousness were now feeling fearful emotions, as though they could feel the fatal threat of the flames. The void monsters wanted to escape and leave this dangerous place. However, it was already too late. The massive infernal golden crow flames covered the bodies of these void monsters. It was as though the flames had come into contact with fuel oil, rapidly burning them up. And the dark energy and sinful souls of these void monsters were the best fuel for the infernal golden crow flames. This caused the might of the infernal golden crow flames to increase by several folds. It's indeed useful. Seeing this, Xiaoping revealed an excited expression. The infernal golden crow flames were indeed the supreme heavenly flames. It reigned over everything and was a terrifying flame that could only be born from the depths of hell. Even these void monsters wouldn't be able to withstand such a flame. No, perhaps it wasn't as simple as being unable to withstand it. It was simply the nemesis of these void monsters. Walala, in just a few breaths' time, the originally undying and indestructible void monsters were completely incinerated. Even their souls were devoured by these flames. No, it wasn't that there was nothing left. After these void monsters were completely incinerated, piles of black matter were left in the void. They emitted a dark and pure aura, as though they were the most fundamental dark energy. What's this? Xiaoping blinked his eyes and looked at the piles of black matter that were left behind. At this moment, his heart shook. The world tree in the depths of his sea of consciousness transmitted a desire to devour to him. It seemed to have an extreme desire for this dark matter, even more so than the flesh and blood of the immortal demons and ancient demons that it had devoured previously. It simply wanted to devour it immediately, as though it had encountered the most delicious food. What's this? Xiaoping asked the world tree. Then a thought rapidly transmitted from the world tree. He raised his eyebrows and said, "What? You're saying that this is fertilizer, the highest grade of fertilizer in the universe?" He still didn't know what this was, but according to the world tree, this dark matter would be of great benefit to the growth of the world tree. However, even the world tree couldn't kill these void monsters. Only the infernal golden crow flames could kill them, and incinerate all the sins of these void monsters. It could be said that the World Tree and the infernal golden crow were two species that complemented each other. The infernal golden crow was responsible for killing all kinds of creatures to provide fertilizer for the World Tree. Meanwhile, the World Tree would also grow many strange fruits to provide for the growth of the infernal golden crow. Forget it. Since you need it, then take it. Xiaoping didn't continue to pay attention to it. In any case, there were many of these void monsters in the infernal world. In the future, there would always be a chance to find out what exactly these things were. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hearing this, countless roots immediately grew from the World Tree and instantly appeared on the dark matter, crazily absorbing the most delicious fertilizer. Rumble, after obtaining this fertilizer, the World Tree seemed to have grown tremendously. It had obtained unparalleled benefits, and its huge body continued to grow and grow. There were even more profound world runes appearing in the depths of each leaf. It was as if each leaf was a supreme scripture. Chapter 23:19. It's growing so fast. Xiaoping raised an eyebrow. He sensed that the World Tree in the depths of his consciousness was growing too fast. It seemed to have benefited even more than when it devoured dozens of immortal demons and ancient demons. Evidently, the dark matter left behind by the void monsters was greatly beneficial to the World Tree's growth. He could sense that the World Tree's body was surging with even more mysterious power, as if many mysterious god art powers were born in the depths of its body. Now, not only could the World Tree bear mysterious fruits, but every leaf and branch on its body was also a rare treasure that contained endless mysteries. Even the World Tree's body was transmitting turbulent energy to him, helping him to continuously increase the magic power in his body. He sensed that the World Tree had also grown to a greater extent. Its power had more than doubled, and dense, mysterious runes had also appeared on its trunk. Vaguely, it began to emit an aura that could suppress the heavens. This black spaceship is not bad. Soon, Xiaoping no longer paid attention to the World Tree. He turned his gaze to the black spaceship left behind by the demons. Even with his picky eyes, he could see that this black spaceship was precious. This was because the technological level of the infernal world was actually far inferior to the cosmic world he was in. Just the various technologies of the spaceship alone surpassed the infernal world by who knew how many light years. However, this black spaceship could actually travel in the void, avoid countless cosmic disasters, and explore the various infernal plane worlds. This was enough to prove how amazing this black spaceship was. Of course, this was not a compliment to the black spaceship's technological level. It was purely because the black spaceship's materials were more powerful. Just what material is this made of? Xiaoping stroked his chin. He probed with his divine sense and covered the entire black spaceship. It seemed that every wood and every skeleton contained mysterious infernal energy. Moreover, the black spaceship's power was condensed into one. Even though it was battered by the void monsters, it still showed no signs of collapsing. It could even continuously repair the damaged parts. If it was given a certain amount of time, this black spaceship would probably be able to recover to its original state. Obviously, this black spaceship must have been refined from some special material in hell, which allowed it to easily travel through the void of hell and avoid many disasters. Forget it. No matter what material it's made of, it's definitely a treasure. Let's give it to Xiao Jin to eat. Xiaoping instinctively felt that this spaceship would definitely benefit greatly after being eaten by the golden slime. If the golden slimes wanted to grow quickly, they would need to devour large amounts of rare ores and materials. He made a grabbing motion with his large hand, immediately grabbing the black flying ship and placing it into the Mountain River Pearl space. Then, he sent a telepathic message to the golden slime, telling her to come and eat it. Let's go. In a flash, Xiaoping returned to the stars. At the same time, the myriad stars swiftly returned to its original state, retracting all the vines and returning to the state of spaceship. No one knew how ferocious the monster was just now, that it could easily kill an immortal devil or even an ancient devil. A day later, the myriad stars finally arrived at Scorched Hell. They did not encounter any more void monsters or other devils. The journey was safe and uneventful. After all, Hell was just too vast. Until now, no one knew what the end of Hell looked like. In such a huge void world, to encounter those terrifying void monsters and other devils that came out to explore Hell's plane required a certain degree of luck, or rather, bad luck. This is Scorched Hell. In the distant void, Xiaoping stood on the myriad stars and looked at a plain world in the distance. It looked like an egg and was completely red. However, it was so huge that it could be said to be boundless. Yes, this is indeed Scorched Hell. Luna nodded. My cadaveric bug clone sent a telepathic message. They're hiding in this plane. Seems like this plane is indeed more powerful than the burning hell. Xiaoping squinted his eyes. To be honest, just looking at it with his naked eye, this Scorched Hell was more than 1,000 times larger than the burning hell. Moreover, the power of Hell's origin it contained was also countless times denser. It was no wonder that it could nurture countless powerful devils. With such a favorable environment, there must be many powerful near-ancient devils in this Scorched Hell. If he could kill all these near-ancient devils and refine them into space fruits, his cultivation would definitely improve by leaps and bounds, and he would ascend to the realm of near-ancient sages. This was also the purpose of his trip to Scorched Hell. Master, what should we do next? Luna looked at Xiaoping. Well, don't be anxious. Let's go into Scorched Hell to look for some information first. Let's see how many powerful devils there are in this Scorched Hell. We'll deal with them later. Xiaoping was not anxious. As the saying went, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. If you were to rashly enter an unfamiliar place, wouldn't it be disastrous if there were any terrifying demons in this plane of hell, or if there were any special and powerful means? He was very confident in his strength, but he would not be arrogant. In history, who knew how many powerhouses were too arrogant and were overturned by some small fry? Therefore, no matter how cautious he was at this time, it was never too much. Let's go in, Corinne. Remember to hide. Xiaoping said to Corinne. Okay, activate the stealth system, weapon system, and static flight system. Corinne gave a series of instructions to the stars. The numerous stars immediately flew toward the Scorched Hell. The entire spaceship was silent, and it entered the dimensional barrier of the Scorched Hell in an instant while in an invisible state. The spaceship had to be invisible too. After all, the powerful devils that controlled Scorched Hell were extremely sensitive to Hell's plane barrier. If a visitor from outer space entered Scorched Hell, they might be discovered. Especially the near-ancient devils. Their understanding of the spatial laws had reached an extremely profound level. However, the stars, which had already been upgraded to a high-grade sacred artifact, could easily hide in the void without emitting any spatial ripples. No matter how sensitive the devil's senses were, they should not be able to discover the stars' whereabouts. Moreover, it was normal for them to be so careful. They did not want to cause a commotion right after entering Scorched Hell, and they would think that they were demons from outer space and kill them. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, the stars silently penetrated the dimensional barrier and entered Scorched Hell without alerting any of the demons in Scorched Hell.